But I beg you, please don't make up stories and make false accusations against Pinky.
Enough. What's wrong? Shannon, what's wrong? Are you all right? What are you doing?
Things went just as we planned. I hurt myself, but Pinky Lean will have to take the blame. Windsor, I love you. If you marry me, I'll make you the happiest person in the entire world.
Pinky also has a gift for you.
Charlene? Your eyes.
Hello?
Gonzalo, it's Monica.
How dare you call me up right here at my house?
Gonzalo, it's an emergency. He left a note saying that he's leaving. What? You don't seem to think that he has to be found urgently, Gonzalo, for heaven's sake! Yes, that's her.
What did you say, Mom?
I'm sure that was his ex-secretary's voice. I'm very sure.
How is he? Is he alive?
I don't know. He looks like he's not breathing. Hold on, I'm gonna put him down.
Zile kazi bana niachie mimi. Mtoto anukia marashi ya Zanzibar. Mimi sitaki uguswe hata na nzi.
Ndio nakupa jeuri, si ndio?
Safari, sitaki maneno.
Yangu mimi na kila mtu.
Po vitu kidogo ndio vitakufanya wewe utumie $100,000.
Kuna vitu vingine sijaandika hapo dad.
Nikusaidieje? Msaada kutoka kwako? Hapana.
Wachana na matatizo wewe. Sawa? Na sipomwacha matatizo utanifanya nini?
Want the things, baby, give me that good loving. A woman like you, I deserve. Of all the girls around the world, she means the most to me. Caribbean girl.
Yes, the day is 10th day of May 2022. Good morning. This is KBC News Check, and here we do endeavor to ensure that you are kept afloat on the latest happening that are shaping the country. And a lot of things, I'll tell you for a fact, is that are shaping the country. And when you talk about politics, a lot is in store. Well, also today we are having the last session of Parliament. Yes, Parliament is back today amidst a lot of politics, budgets, polls. We have a lot, but we will be talking about that because my guests in the first hour are politicians, or so to speak. They will be, because they want to seek some positions in the country. We'll be talking about that in a short while. But in the second hour, we're talking about Parliament is back, and also talking about the budget, the high cost of living. And remember is that the last session, and when you talk about cost of living, it affects, the first thing it affects is the food. So how is our food security in terms of matters environmental conservation, and also in terms of matters nutrition? Well, I'll be joined by a panel of experts in the second hour. But for now, the first hour, we're talking about matters politics. My name is Ben Troy Njue, and now I'm joined by two politicians. Let me call them politicians because they have been cleared by their parties to contest in the 2022 Augusta general polls. On my immediate left, we have Gigi Kagombe. Gigi Kagombe will be seeking the seat, the MP seat in the president's backyard of Gatundu South via the UDA party ticket. And just next to him we have Diego Ngugi Wilson, who was also a governance expert, and he will be seeking a seat, an MP seat in Tharaka, but he will be seeking on a different party, that is Chama cha Kazi, whose patron is Gatundu, incidentally, Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria. Gentlemen, karibuni sana.
Thank you. Thank you.
You went through a grueling exercise, if I may say, in terms of the nomination. In a minute, how was it? And did you see and did you ensure that there was the democracy, the party democracy that we want to see, so that our parties and our politics are more robust?
In the interest of time, I'll talk about the nominations generally and how they happened. And I would say, Ben, that we've seen a very infuriating scenario for me, if you ask me, because we've only had one party that was bold enough to come out and say, we are going to meet the people, we are going to exercise universal suffrage, and we are going to let the people decide. We're going to go to the people and ask them to vote. I mean, everybody else has been sitting in big hotels, and I mean, I was thinking about it today and asking myself, Kiambu gubernatorial and the entire nomination for some of the people parties that we are running against were done at Windsor. So I'm wondering how many Kenyans have been to Windsor. I mean, not even a percent, not even 1% of those people can even, not even of the voters, even of the contestants, has been to that hotel. So when you start exercising democracy in those places, then you find it very interesting. So I would say our party.
Your party is an exception for that, or including?
We went to the people, and we went to all the polling stations as they are. And the people had their way, and they talked, they had their say, they said who they wanted to run as their candidates, and therefore that's why we face the people and say, we are ready for the elections.
All right. Talking about that, and because the Deputy President is the patron of UDA, he is addressing, he's having a presser in Karen. Incidentally, also ODM and Azimio presidential candidate will also be having a presser a little bit later. But first of all, let's listen to what the DP has to say.
A new foundation where the politics of our country is going to be canvassed around issues, around the people, around empowerment, and around how to change the lives of the people of Kenya. We continue to do this because we are determined to get away from personality cults, personality politics, to politics founded on political institutions that share common values, that share a common agenda, and that share a common plan. As Kenya Kwanza, we meet here this morning again because the Pamoja Africa Alliance Pact, with its leadership led by Governor Jefferson King and his team, we have signed a coalition agreement with them, and today we are announcing formally that PA is a member of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. And this agreement, as my brother Amason Shuli is going to tell you, it's not about the leader, it's about the people.
All right, we do apologize for that sound hitch, but we are currently working on 8. But on your screen is the Deputy President William Ruto. They are flanked by some of the party leaders and also members who are allied to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. We will be getting back to that presser as soon as we rectify that sound hitch. But also today, the Azimio One Kenya Alliance party leader Raila Odinga is also expected to be briefing the press any moment from now, and after that also we have other things that are currently underway, like the Azimio running mate interviews that are being done at the Serena Hotel, and it's something that we're also going to be touching with my panelist here. And Diego, you were also had to go through the grueling task of the party primaries, and incidentally you were in UDA, but now what changed?
Thank you, Ben, and again thank you to KBC for this invitation. I'm happy to have met my long-time friend. Yeah, I was in UDA. Nothing much changed. It's only that when you consult the electorates and they advise you to run on a certain party that also supports the deputy president as the president of this nation, then you are going to go. So I think I went around, I gathered some advices from friends, and we agreed that Chama cha Kazi is a friendly party to UNDA, and we are all in Kenya Kwanza. So we didn't have much problems in having a friendly fire in the coming elections. In terms of nominations, I think, as my friend said, I agree that UNDA gave it a trial. Nothing is perfect, but at least they've shown some democracy. They allowed people to compete and they get them best from the people themselves, other than come and decide who is running on what ticket and all that. But if all the contestants then were comfortable in agreeing, then I don't have a problem as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and Gigi, from what the Deputy President was talking about there before we lost the feed, is that the Kenya Kwanza is actually now fortified. We have an addition of PA and also the Maendeleo Chap is also in the Kenya Kwanza Alliance as from yesterday. What do you have to say for that? Because now Kenya Kwanza is taking in some profit while Azimio is taking some hits.
I would say it takes time for some, I mean, for people to realize when things are happening. But I actually expect even more people and more parties to come. I expect Wiper to be coming. I expect, in fact, I think by the end of this story, I think even ODM will have come.
Now, to be very honest,
they will realize, they must have realized now this is where the country is, this is where the country is going. And like we keep saying, just before he lost the feed, the Deputy President there was saying that this is not about the leaders. This is about Wanjiko. This is about the Mwananchi out there. This is about the economy. This is about our people out there in the villages, the people who are out there as herdsmen, the people who are out there in the farms. This is about them. And therefore, everybody, and like we always say, our bottom-up model is to say that we start from out there and then come all the way up. We start so that our politics is informed by the needs of the people down there. As opposed to thinking that you have this idea and you have a solution for the people. No, listen to them. You think they want unga, maybe you think they want sugar, maybe they want unga. You think they want bread, they want something else. They want muhogo. So first listen from out there and then come. And because I realize our competitors in this thing have not been listening, and that is the biggest undoing of that other side. Because you realize, like I was just saying, and I was telling you that you find meetings. Yesterday, when the other side was holding meetings at Serena, the Deputy President was in Wamba, in Samburu, listening to the people. When other guys were here in Windsor, the Deputy President was in Marsabit, listening to the people. You need to go to the ground. And I think because it is a bit too late now, that's why you find people coming. And some of these people have also been, have wanted to come. And I expect a lot of people to come because they have wanted to come, but there has been a lot of threats from government. We have really weaponized this government. And we have used it to, instill fear, make people's lives unbearable and uncomfortable, and kill democracy. And now I think because time is ticking, now people are getting the courage to now come and say, okay, fine, now we have time, we can afford, we can deal with your oppression for these few months that are left, and then we'll be good. And so I expect even people who do not have a proper spine like Alonzo to be coming very soon. Yeah.
Okay, Diego, do you support what Gigi is talking about here? Because looking at, he's mentioned Kalonzo Musyoka, and incidentally, Kalonzo, as we speak, finally decided that he is going he's going to the panel for, let's call them the interview, the running mate interviews at Serena Hotel. And talking about, before, my director informs me that PA leader of Amazon, Jeffa Kingi, is currently addressing, and we have that feed.
Number one, reverse all operational changes that have been carried out in the recent past, whose effect has been to relocate some of the core activities of the Kenya's main seaport from Mombasa to inland depots in Nairobi and Naivasha. To this end, the necessary administrative and legislative measures shall be undertaken within a year, effective 9th August 2022. As you're aware, the port operations have all been moved inland, and that has caused immeasurable sufferings to the people of the coast region. Hence the need to reverse that. 2, put in place necessary reforms to ensure the Port of Lamu brings measurable employment and other economic benefits to the local communities. 3, revive the cashew nut, coconut, and bixia industries, especially in the coast region, by funding the same. 4, involve local communities in the management and benefit sharing of the resources associated with the blue economy. 5, establish a benefit sharing arrangement between the national government and the local communities in the coast region in respect to mining and other natural resources. 6, review the Coast Guard Act and other laws to enhance the protection of local communities' fishing and other economic activities. Number 7, address the historical land injustices, especially at the coast, including necessary reforms of relevant laws and the setting up of a land compensation fund to assist the locals to progressively acquire or purchase land from absentee landlords. To this end, budgetary allocations shall be provided for to achieve these aims effective 9th August 2022 for the entire 5-year period. Number 8, promote inclusivity of residents of the coastal region into the management and equitable benefit sharing of the national assets located at the coast. Lastly, ensure equitable representation of residents of the coast region in national government appointments and the equitable representation in all cadre of civil service, disciplined forces, Kenya's diplomatic staff, and all sectors of the public service. So these are the core issues that PA brought to Kenya Kwanza, and we are happy to announce that all these issues have been captured well in the written agreement that was signed on the 8th of May between PA and Kenya Kwanza. Now, for the reasons outlined above, we have no doubt that once Kenya Kwanza Alliance forms government, a new chapter that will bring hope to our people will officially begin. You must have noted in my statement that our coming to Kenya Kwanza has got nothing to do with individual positions. We are not interested. Ours is to make sure the problems facing our people are given priority. the issues that are always a campaign issue, that everyone coming to the coast, because they know we have land problems, they'll promise us that once I become president, I'll handle the land question. For over 60 years, prior to independence and even after independence, that has always been a promise of anyone wanting to get the 2 million votes at the coast. Today, the coastal person is saying we are not taking nothing short of a written commitment. And we're happy that we couldn't get this in Azimio, but Kenya Kwanza have agreed, and indeed they've done it. They have put this as a commitment that if we win, and we're going to win, the 9th of August 2022 elections, these issues are not just a promise, they are commitment. It is a covenant between Kenya Kwanza and the people of Coast. We have no reason as a region to go elsewhere other than Kenya Kwanza. We absolutely feel our plight, that our pain will be eased in the Kenya Kwanza administration. The coastal chapo they're looking for is to end the derogatory and demeaning title of being called squatters in an independent country. That has to end. And it cannot end through promises. It can only end through commitment to walk that journey. And we're happy that that journey has officially begun. Now, for this to happen, Kenya Kwanza must form government. And that's why I call upon my brothers and sisters in Coast Region that the failing of Kenya Kwanza to capture government on the 9th of August 2022 will spell doom to us as a region. If Kenya Kwanza goes down on the 9th of August 2022, so will our dream as a region. We have a commitment in Kenya Kwanza. We have rhetorics on the other side. That is the difference. We have been accused of all sorts after signing this agreement, that we've been playing both sides. We have been told that we were demanding to get a copy of the agreement because we wanted to use it to benchmark. To benchmark what? DC. Kenya Kwanza and Azimio are two different legal entities.
Absolutely.
One is a political party, the other is a coalition.
Absolutely.
So how do you benchmark the two? If you want to fly a plane, you don't go to a car yard to benchmark. But we know why we're here. Our reason to come to Kenya Kwanza is driven by the desire to finally find a solution to the problems facing our people. Securing positions, we could have secured individual positions in Azimio. But that is not our intention as PA. And I've been telling people that in fact, our first intention was not to form a political party. At the time PA was being formed, this country had over 80 political parties. But we felt there was something missing. None of these parties felt the pain the coast person was feeling. And therefore, PA was born. PA is more than a political party. Ni kilio cha haki. Tunalilia haki na safari ya kupata haki yetu imeanza. The first thing is you need to trust your partner. If you're not willing to commit in writing, then you don't mean well for us. You don't mean well to us. If you really want to address the problems facing the coastal person.
Kilifi Governor Amason Jeffa Kingi there, live from the DP residence in Karen there, talking about the coalition pact that they've just signed with Kenya Kwanza there, talking about a lot of things that actually affect the coastal region, including land injustices, of course, the port, and so many other, but talking about we wanted somewhere that we can go and be parties to a coalition and not a single party, so as to actualize our political agenda. And let me go back to my panelists who are listening carefully to that. And Diego, perhaps you can dig in that speech by Amason Jeffa Kingi talking about we didn't want a political party to join a political party, we want a coalition. And of course, even Alfred Mutua's party, they talked about they didn't like the zoning that was there in Azimio. Incidentally, we had invited somebody from the Azimio coalition, but something came up and he had to cancel the last minute. So we had tried to make things at least quite balanced. Diego, kindly dig in.
Yeah, this is expected, and we even expect a lot more by 28th of this month. And especially when the parliament...
It's the rush hour now.
Yes, it's now the rush hour. So, however, whether they come, especially Kalonzo or not, we still expect Kenya Kwanza to win. But it's a good addition, because the way politics are being done now, we are trying to look at the ideologies. What are you coming to offer? Vis-a-vis the rhetoric politics, where people say Tiarara and you follow, Tibimu you follow. And yes, people who surround you, Ben, they mean a lot to you. You know, if you look at the NDP, it's surrounded with the minds, like Kingi, like Professor Kindiki, like Akina Wahome. The other side you find Akina Tori, and I'm sorry, I'm not just naming people, but Kina Junet. Those are people that may not actually advise you, because whatever you say, they say amen. We need people that can tell you, no, boss, I think here we cannot do this. We need to go this direction. Then, what are you offering to people? You've had Kingi announce some of the projects they are asking from Kenya Kwanza for the coastal people, and they've agreed that once Kenya Kwanza comes into power, they should really look at the cashew nut factories, or rather blue economy in its entirety, and the people of coast will be happy. So I would just urge the people of coast to follow such leaders like Kingi, not the people that will just follow him because you assist them in politics, but they have nothing for the local person. Yeah.
Yes, and Gigi, perhaps also can dig in, looking at what either political party is bringing to the table. Politics is a game of numbers. You guys know that because you're in politics. Pa and Mandeleo Chapchap. Yesterday, Azimio, some politician shrugged it off, said that, what numbers do these guys have? You know? And looking at all what he's talking about, some of the things that he could have done as a governor, he's talking about after we've signed a pact, these are the things that we are going to address once we take government.
You know, first of all, you cannot brush off people. These are people who represent aspirations of a certain group of people. And it doesn't matter whether they're 2 or 3. Those are Kenyans. And this is the problem that we have had in this country. That we have come to start, dismissing some people. Sasa hao ni akina nani waende, But you must know, when Amason Kingi comes, whether he's representing the Chunyis and there are 16 of them, or there are 200, or there are 200,000, or 1 million, those are actual Kenyans, and it's not just statistics. The moment we stop looking at people as statistics, and we start realizing that these are livelihoods, these are people who represent, aspirations and dreams, and then we start moving. And I'll tell you why. Sorry. Amason Kingi has just talked about the economy that was disrupted by the SGR. And it is so systemic. We have removed employment from Mombasa and from the coastal counties of Kilifi, Kwale, Mombasa. All of this to benefit, because all this money that now we have been forced to pay SGR and the contractors, all this money goes to China. This is money we are getting jobs from people at the coast and people along all this route that, I mean, it was a serious economy. When the trucks and lorries going to Uganda used to come from Mombasa all the way to Nairobi and to Malaba. There was a huge economy that represented over 200,000 people who earned directly from that route. That has a ripple effect of people, close to 1 million people who are fed from that economy. We killed it. So, and after killing it, what did we do with that money? We took it to China. And I keep giving this example. We must start looking at these things and start looking at people's livelihoods. And we must start looking at jobs. You know, because after all this hullabaloo, after all this is said and done, politics is about division and distribution of resources. Okay. And we're saying that he also talked about fishing and the blue economy, like Diego has said, because we must start now expanding our cake as opposed to fighting for this small cake. I mean, we are probably, the size of the economy is still shrinking. When you look at it vis-a-vis the growth of the population. I mean, and therefore, when we'll have a lot of fights for this small cake. But we start now to start asking ourselves, what do we do to use the ocean that we have? Can we fish so that we add some more to the economy?
Okay. And because of the interest of time, let's check on something else. Looking at yesterday, IEBC Chairperson Wafula Chebukati announced that all parties, of course, a lot of parties, including the two major coalitions, have not been able to actualize the 2/3 agenda rule. That is something that even Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga talked about, and he said the president just dissolved this parliament because we are not following the law. We are not following the constitution that we worked so hard and tirelessly for in actualizing the 2/3 agenda rule. They now have up until Thursday, but we are not seeing anything else. What is nagging us to the point that we have been able to actualize a lot of things that we promulgated and passed in our 2010 constitution, but now we are not able to do a simple thing as just to actualize the 2/3 gender rule?
Ben, you know, politics is about democracy. It's about the willing, let me say, seller, willing buyer. And you cannot force people into politics. People decides whether they want to get into politics or not. And some political parties like us, Chama cha Kazi, we've done the best because none of the ladies or a woman that came to maybe contest for a certain political seat and they were denied, none. All of them were given certificates. But you would still see the percentage did not get to 30% or that. So what that law, basically is doing is trying to force us to go look for some people just to cover up the gap, whereas in actual sense, they would not be adding any value. However, I am happy that like Chama cha Kazi, we've worked on it and we have complied.
Or the
yes,
aspirants.
We have complied on a Thandi rule from MCA, Senator, MP, Governor. We don't have a presidential candidate. Our presidential candidate is Ruto. Okay. So, but we have complied as a party.
Perhaps, Gigi, you can dig in because your party, UDA, has not yet complied with the 2/3 gender rule. But it's not just UDA, even the Azimio coalition. And a lot of parties, I'm just mentioning those because they're on the lips of everyone. And it's something that we have been struggling to do, even in parliament, even in political seats, even in we have to do the affirmative seats each and every time, but we still cannot actualize that, and it's something enshrined in our constitution.
Ben, to be honest, we must be honest with ourselves and say we had, even the constitution envisaged this situation. Yeah. And it's a process. We have to give education to our people to get involved in politics. Our women, our youth. For me, the affirmative action is not just about women. You know, politics is about representation. And I've been seeing someone saying that that the issues of democracy is because, I don't know, we have this kind of people who think like this. Everybody requires and is entitled to representation. If you're a woman, you're entitled to representation because a woman understands a fellow woman better. If you're a young man, you understand the issues of fellow young men better. And that is why, for example, you find our party, we do not think that the other side carries the aspirations of Kenyans because we are the majority. The majority of the people are young. The majority of people are the ones who are taking people to school. We are the people with children that we're educating. People who are, there's a guy who we want to have as a presidential candidate, who before I was born was involved here at KBC in overturning the government and in creating a coup. 2 years before.
Unfounded and and he's not even here to defend himself.
Okay, fine. I withdraw that statement. Yes. No, I apologize. I don't withdraw, but I apologize. But you see, so the majority is being represented that way. So I'll say this: we must be honest and realize that there's an issue. Because you will not go and force people to come and vie. So what we need to do as a society, and this is not about the parties, this is as a society, we must go and ask people to start getting involved in politics. As we say, we have even been asking, like you remember, we've been asking people, let's try and have more educated people in contesting for these seats. So that even those people, if you're at the university level, let's have one, as opposed to sitting and complaining, get your people involved in politics. So we have a lot of work to do as a society to get our women involved in education, to get them involved in politics, to get them involved in business, and in all other spheres, so that we have parity in all aspects of life. So I'll say that it will be hard. The parliament that is sitting now tried very hard, but even Maraga himself, even as he talks, yes, you also realize even in judiciary, some of this disparity is not just in politics. It is everywhere. And this disparity is, when you go to this town and you look at businesses that are owned, when you go to the register of businesses and you see the names of people who are directors of companies, you also realize we have more men. So it's a societal issue.
Okay, let's cross over to Karen, where the DP is currently addressing the presser. Do you have that feed?
That on the matters that my good brother Amason Kingi, on matters to do with the port, it was never the intention of the government of Kenya to build the SGR so that the coast can be impoverished. That was never the intention. In fact, the converse was the intention. The SGR was meant to make the port much more efficient, better, and to improve the business and the fortunes of the people in the coast. Unfortunately, a few people took hostage the whole program and ended up with selfish programs that benefit a few people to the detriment of the entire population of the coast people. And we have made a commitment that administrative issues, legal issues, we are going to undertake both administrative and legal steps to reverse what has become the biggest impoverishment of the people of Mombasa and the coast in its entirety. The commitment to having resources allocated so that the people of the coast can progressively begin to acquire land from absentee landlords is a commitment Kenya Kwanza has made to the people of the coast and to the people of Kenya. The issue of people living as squatters in their own country in the 21st century, 60 years or 50-something years after independence, is not something that anybody would want to second guess. That is a matter brought to the table by power, and we have given a commitment as Kenya Kwanza that we will walk together beginning on the 9th of August to travel that journey and get the people of Kenya to be the people of the coast especially, and the rest of the people of Kenya to live in their country not as squatters, but as citizens and owners of land in their country. So again, let me say, on all our behalf, we welcome Pa and team to Kenya Kwanza. We give you our commitment that together with you, we will work tirelessly to change the foundation of our country and to get rid of deceit and conmanship from the politics of our country. It is the least we can do for the people of Kenya. You have said correctly that you're committed to this journey and you will roll up your sleeves. And I want to tell you, we will walk together. We are as determined as you are in making sure that the elections of 9th August this year are won decisively by the Kenya Kwanza team. I told you earlier that those of us who are in Jubilee know how effective and how committed and how efficient you and your team are, because we were victims in Kilifi especially, where as Jubilee we didn't get even an MCA seat in that county because you worked so hard to make sure that the side you belonged to that time won the election. So we are confident that if you bring the same zeal into Kenya Kwanza, we have no doubt in our minds that Kilifi will be 98% Kenya Kwanza, and the rest of the coast will follow suit. Thank you very much. Let me maybe request a few of our leaders just to say one or two things before we take some questions. Maybe I will start with
That's a live feed from the DP's residence in Karen there, talking about the pact that they have signed with PA, the party affiliated to Kilifi Governor Amason Jeffakingi. Gentlemen, he has also pointed out on matters SGR that is talking about was supposed to help Kenyans, but it has not served the intended purpose as well, and talking about the land injustices that have dogged the coastal regions. But gentlemen, to be very honest, of course, I'm joined by Gigi Kagombe, who is the UDA candidates for Gatundu South, and Diego Ngugi Wilson, who is the Chama cha Kazi candidates in Tharaka. And gentlemen, talking about SGR and lands, to be very honest, he has been the deputy president for almost 10 years now. These are not the issues that he should be coming up with right now. Diego?
Ben, there are issues that he should be coming up with, because one, if you look at the Constitution of Kenya, anybody with the title deputy actually is very powerless. We need to work on our Constitution progressively, because deputies have no authority. They have no power actually to do major changes. Anything stops with the president. Even at the county level, anything stops with the governor. The deputy governor is so toothless. So they have no capacity to really make changes. But Ruto, as a president, is able to stand up and say, this is what we must change. It has been peace. And again, you know, when you are a deputy of an interested party, I'm sorry to say, you may not really bite your boss. You need to work with him.
Diego, we're also running the risk of doing the same thing you're saying, because
yes,
if at all the deputy is quite toothless, looking at the constitution that we have, and Kenya Kwanza will also have a running mate, right? The DP
Yes.
will have a running mate.
Yes.
You'll also be toothless. Would you want the next DP, if Ruto takes government, to be as toothless as you're saying?
It also depends with the main person, the president. Because if the president gives you power, he has authority also to give his deputy power, and he can also get out that power. The same thing that happened to our deputy. His power was withdrawn, majority of his functions were given to another cabinet minister. So what really happens is the president is coarse. So if the president is willing to have a deputy that can be earned, that can actually give his mind and function as a deputy president, then the president will have done as well. However, we still need to have constituted functions of a deputy president, such that none of them that can be removed from his functions. If that is done constitutionally, then we will be able to have a better Kenya than we have today. So if we have the Ruto that we are supporting, and then he changes his mind after elections, then we still have a toothless deputy.
There's a big risk that we are running. We were talking about the deputy president. Okay, let's first of all talk about the deputy president so that we may talk about the running mate. And as Diego is talking about, it's true. We have seen that in some positions that the deputy is quite just that. Like in counties, Diego, you've worked in the counties.
Yes.
The deputy is just that, is more or less like a rubber stamp. But we need to change that. He's talking about if we have a president and if Ruto takes over government and becomes the president that does not value his or her deputy, it means that we will be in the same pot each and every election cycle, that the Cold War that we have seen in the current government.
Two things. One, I agree with Diego. We need a properly we need it in the constitution. We need it entrenched.
Clear mandate for the
clear mandate of the deputies across board, that they have mandate that they can actually work. But then we also run the risk of creating conflict and two centers of power. And I'll tell you, when you're flying, you have a first officer and a pilot. You have the captain and the first officer. And should anything happen, when your journey is smooth, everything is fine. But should anything happen, the last word is with the captain. It doesn't matter what the first officer said. The last word is always with the captain. So I don't know why we want to absolve the captain of this plane here from blame. I mean, the last word is with the captain. So if anything went wrong, so the deputy president said, give me a mandate for me to be now the captain, and then you will ask me those questions. So that, I think that covers that debate. Now, secondly, we want to also ask ourselves, how has this person been over time? And there are people who generally love, who will generally just choose you and proceed. But you realize the deputy president has succeeded, has had a very successful career. I mean, to be honest, you look at him, there is no one time he's ever been out of government or he tried to vie for a position and he failed. He has always, and this is because he has had his people together. He's able to form a coalition and he's able to coalesce people around him. And you find that people that he was with in 1992 are still with him. Now you find people who are his deputies, who are his assistants, who he's been with for 20 years. I mean, it tells you something about his character, that he's able to work with people. I'm not certain I can say the same about the current situation.
All right. Away from that, let's look at the running mate. Of course, it's something that has been on Kenyan lips each and every day until when we have a substantive one. Kenya Kwanza, they will have their way of how they will handle that. But Azimio decided to do what we can call interviews, where today also they're expected to complete the exercise at the Serena Hotel. And we expect to be having a running mate for the Azimio coalition. You did talk about you're not shocked if Kalonzo decides to jump ship and come to your bandwagon, but looking at the options that these people have, and especially let's talk about first of all Kenya Kwanza, we haven't seen it so robust as for Azimio, because Azimio decided, because if you can trust a surgeon with your body, you have to first of all have doctors' interviews, you see. So they decided to do the same thing and have their interview so that they may get the best and the right candidate. But what options do we have? Because at the end of the day, you have to balance. It's not like a job interview, because this one you also have to balance with a lot of politics dynamics, like the numbers as well and the region.
Ben, Azimio is between a hard place and a rock. One, They are trying to see how they can appease the central people. So, that's a big vote block. Unfortunately, none of their candidates from that region, the ones that have been called for interviews, none of them can hand them a vote. I mean,
what about Kalonzo Musyoka? He made
Kalonzo is not from Mount Kenya.
The last minute, he's changed his mind.
Yeah, I'm
not going there, but he's there now as we speak.
Currently, we are talking of now Mount Kenya. Kalonzo, you know, is from the Lower Eastern. If you look at the people that have gone for interviews from Azimio in Mount Kenya, they are not popular in terms of politics in Mount Kenya. So, if they are looking for popularity, which of course is the basic thing in politics, then Azimio has no option to take somebody from Mount Kenya. So, the only option they have, and this I'm speaking as Diego,
yes,
they have an option of taking Kalonzo to reduce the margin of defeat. not to win.
I didn't expect that. Reduce the margin of defeat.
He will assist them better than anyone from Mount Kenya. I'm very sincere. The other option that they can try to bring complications is by taking Oparanya. If they take Oparanya, then they will make Luya and battlefield for between
UDA. The votes there.
Yes, yes, but and don't see other option. If they take somebody from coast, they will fail terribly. If they do take somebody that I saw the other day, don't know from where, they will still fail terribly.
Yes.
And like Kenya Kwanza, where the leaders came together and the majority of them are willing that I have no interest in the deputy. What I need is let us get the government, then from that government let us get a share. So the battle in Kenya Kwanza has reduced to few individuals who are also willing to talk to one another. And when you are talking to one another, you don't have to go for interviews. And the good thing is both the Eastern and Mount Kenya region in its entirety, UDA and Kenya Kwanza is popular, just like Chama cha Kazi. So whoever the deputy president picks as a deputy president to him, because now he will be the presidential candidate, and especially if he takes Kindiki, professor, I think he will be going to go.
All right, dig in that so that we may look at the Parliament is resuming today for the final session, and I'm quite sure in your constituencies you have a scorecard of what our good MPs have done. Kindly.
So first of all, I must say that we must look at representation for what it is, and representation means that you listen to those people out there. We are forming a very bad precedence that we can sit in some offices here, we can sit at Serena or sit at whatever hotel it is in Nairobi and pick candidates for the people out there. Because now we are going to build on it, and next time we'll have a monarch where people just sit and say, okay, now we have appointed so-and-so to be president or to represent us in this. I think that is a very bad precedence. And that is why Kenya Kwanza is going down there to the people and asking, what are you saying? What guides UDA and Kenya Kwanza together is the decibels of the people. What are the people saying during a rally? What are the people saying? And you know, voters have only one time to speak in a 5 years cycle. And that's why they come and tell you. That's why you find a lot of them very frustrated, because they probably didn't have, they don't have a mid-term plan to come and say, we do not like what you're doing. And it's a very, well, it's the way it is, but it's very sad. So you must be very careful to listen to them, so that even when you go back, you tell them, but you're the ones who told me to do this. Yes. This is what you had decided. Now, that said, Parliament is coming back, and I think I would have hated, sincerely, to be a member of Parliament in this Parliament that has just exited, that is just about to exit.
Yes. Why do you say that?
Because I think they had been taken hostage by the executive completely. I mean, I would have, I don't think a lot of them had executed what they would have wanted to execute.
Let's look at your constituency. You want to take over after Moses Kuria, who is seeking another position. What are some of the things that perhaps he never did right? Because you say they more or less like had state capture.
No. I'm talking about you know Parliament. We must start looking at Parliament for its collective responsibility, because the work of Parliament is to make laws, is to legislate. And there's no parliamentarian who makes laws for Gatundu South. You make laws for the country. And that's why Parliament sits, to make laws for this country. So what I'm saying is that the collective responsibility of Parliament has been really, really, they've done very bad because because there's been a lot of frustration and very bad working environment between them and the executive. You remember, you know how many laws have been taken back from State House back to Parliament, and with a lot of bile and with a lot of bad blood and words said and all those things.
Looking at the scorecard.
Yeah, but the scorecard, I mean, if I were to look at Gatundu in isolation, I would say the current Member of Parliament tried, did a good job. For where he could, what was practically possible. The issue that you want to talk about, maybe infrastructure, roads, electricity, those things have been done. The issues, of course, where there needs to be improvement or something worked up on what he did. But I don't think I would honestly say that he was a very bad Member of Parliament. I would say he tried live for the time when he had health challenges, and therefore, those are issues that you really, really see and you allow. But I still want to come to this point that the work of Parliament cannot be seen in isolation. And cannot be seen. You cannot divide it and say, now this is what you did for this area, because the constitution that we put in place in 2010 envisaged, and we must start telling people the truth so that we start looking at civic education and start saying what is the work of a Member of Parliament. Is to make laws, but we have institutions that are put by law to look at some issues. Like when you talk about roads, we have the Roads Board, we have Kura, we have Kenha, we have Kera. They are supposed to be allowed, given a space to work, such that a Member of Parliament is only supposed to make laws and make sure that those laws are followed.
All right.
If it is electricity, then someone is doing. If it is water, if it is services, if it is education, we have KEICD that is supposed to be developing that. We have TSC that is supposed to be making sure that they are teachers. We have all those works. We need to make sure that the institutions of these countries work.
All right. Diego, today Parliament is actually taking its last session now before we go for the 2022 general polls. Looking at your constituency and the performance that has been there, Gigi has talked about they really didn't do the work as they should have, but you also have a say in that.
When you say Gigi, our current Member of Parliament uses the same.
Okay, this is Gigi Kagombe.
The other one is also Gigi.
All right.
And I think I agree with my friend Gigi here that the current Parliament actually has failed Kenyans. The past laws that have made life under. If you look at the prices of almost every commodity, when they passed the laws of the fuel and all those taxes that were increased, it actually worked against us. And I think we need people that can think, how would Kenya get money without necessarily pressing Kenyans?
Yes.
And that is very much possible. The current Member of Parliament in our place, he has done what I would call the minimum,
bare minimum
to our expectation. We really expected him to lobby.
What are some of the things perhaps you can point out and you intend, or maybe you could change? If you
personally, I'll change the entire infrastructure. For the last 5 years, Tharaka has not got even a single kilometer of tarmac. And Tharaka actually, in its entirety, has a total of about 15 kilometers of tarmac in its entirety. Tharaka has an electricity coverage of less than 10%. You can imagine a whole constituency. It is still in Tharaka that the pupils have performed very well, but close to half of them, they are not going to schools because of school fees issues. Our roads are pathetic. There is no water. There is no lighting. I mean, the socio-economic aspects has been denied to the people of Tharaka. So personally, I'll be working towards changing the economy of Tharaka people, because that is what can alleviate poverty. the poverty levels in our place is really high. If you find people that have a problem even in eating, then that person cannot even afford the school fees. So that is an area that I would want to touch, and I'll touch when you bring power, especially electricity, some people will start having self-employment. If you seek the companies to invest in Daraka, and also talk to the other investors that have already invested in other parts, and you try to create job opportunities for your people, that will change the economy of the area. If the infrastructure and the water is available to people, even the person that has no maybe formal education can farm and still get money. That will change our economic portion in our constituency. So generally, Ben, I would rate our current member of parliament at around 30%.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, and of course, your scorecard, you're going to tell us perhaps the percentage on a scale of 1 to 10 where you can rate our current MPs. But let's take a quick break, but we'll be right back so that we may wrap up this discussion.
Ili kupata Daniel chapter 3 kama skiza tune kwenye simu yako, bonyeza *811 *815#.
Shedraki, Meshaki na Abednego katika tanuru la moto. Danieli sura ya 3. Mfalme akaona watu 4, ingawa alikuwa ametupa watu 3 katika moto. Huyo alikuwa ni mtu wa 4. Mtu wa 4 anapotembea pamoja nawe anashangaza maadui.
Kupata Daniel chapter 3, bonyeza *811 *815#. *811 *815#.
He served in the Kenyan military for close to half a century.
Gentlemen, I see you have very good AK-47s. These weapons are no longer to be shot to kill another Liberian.
Leading some of the most volatile peacekeeping operations in Africa.
I still do a little bit of sharing my experiences on peacekeeping.
Lieutenant General retired Daniel Opande on the Military Tales. This Tuesday with Nisi Imano.
Hello?
Gonzalo, it's Monica.
How dare you call me up right here at my house?
Gonzalo, it's an emergency. He left a note saying that he's leaving. What? You don't seem to think that he has to be found urgently. Gonzalo, for heaven's sake!
Yes, that's her. What did you say, Mom? I'm sure that was his ex-secretary's voice. I'm very sure.
How is he? Is he alive?
I don't know. He looks like he's not breathing. Hold on, I'm gonna put him down.
Welcome back, and just in case you just joined us, we are talking about matters of politics on News Check, and we have had quite a discussion here, and of course the DP was also welcoming the leader and the party power to the Kenya Kwanza fold. But as we are almost wrapping it up, we are looking at the scorecards of MPs, because today they begin the last session before we head to the general polls. And what are they being able to do? And bearing in mind that we have the biggest budget, not only in East Africa, but in the region, and they are supposed to ensure that we also as Kenyans have an easy time, not only because of the polls, but of course we had a battered economy and COVID did not do any better. Let me wrap it up with the Gigi Kagombe, who is seeking a political seat, he's seeking the seat to be the next MP for the president's backyard, that is Gatundu South. Your scorecard when it comes to what the MPs have been able to do. You said very well that they didn't do a very good job because of what you term as state capture. But let's just give them a scorecard.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give the collective responsibility of Parliament 3.
Yes.
They did not stand with the people. Mm-hmm. They did not. This is Parliament that oversaw the taxation of fuel. This is a Parliament that saw a removal of excess duty on products that are manufactured here and therefore killing our economies. This is Parliament that allowed the killing of the milk industry. This is Parliament that oversaw the killing of the plastic industry, where we were supplying over 70% to other countries within the East African countries. This is a country practically that has not, this is a Parliament that has not stood with the people. Mm-hmm. Actually, like I just told you, last week I was in London looking for markets for avocado and other farm produce, and I got some very serious market for avocado mm-hmm. and pineapples and tea. And we were in talks with the tailors of Harrogate and Tesco and many other outlets. Mm-hmm. And I have investors who are ready now to come and put up a center where we're going to be collecting our avocados in Gatundu town. And we start with Gatundu town and then go to other wards, mm-hmm. so that we collect them, we process them, so that once your avocado is ready, you just take it to the center. You collect, you sell, mm-hmm. you get your money, and then it's exported.
You have done a good job. What if they don't elect you as the next member of Parliament? Will still the markets and whatever you've been able to do, will you continue with that?
I will work with whoever is going to be there, because this is a passion. This I'm not doing, I didn't even tell them that I'm going to do that. I'm doing it because I have passion for it. And I'm mm-hmm. thinking that I am a resident of Gatundu myself. Mm-hmm. I am a farmer. I have tea, mm-hmm. I have avocados, I have pineapples. So I also want to create market for my own self, for mm-hmm. my brother, for my sister, for all of us, so that we go together as a group. And I say, mm-hmm. it is better to walk. If you want to go far, walk with the people. If you want to go fast, then you probably do it alone. And so this is something that I want us to do together. And I know mm-hmm. we still have time. And that is not even something that I've envisaged. In fact, in any case, why would they not elect me? The people of Gatundu are just waiting for the 9th of August. So that they put me on that seat, and they know that we are going to do these two things in Parliament. One, we must instigate and put measures that will create employment. First of all, we must make sure that we do not import. We have killed our economy by allowing, like I said, excess duty on imported produce. If you look at this table, we import everything. Even this pen is imported. The plastic bottle that we're just using to have water. Mm-hmm. Everything you have, even your clothes, are imported. Yet we have people here that can make our textile industry work. Mm-hmm. I was with the people of Mitumba people the other day, and they were saying that they're willing to put up money aside to help the textile industry in this country, the cotton industry, so that we can start producing our own. That is something that we must do, so that we have a positive balance of payment. Every year we had the biggest deficit in balance of payment, at coming to $1.32 billion last year by September. Imagine that the money we paid outside
was a lot,
was so much more than our economy can hold. And that is the thing that we're going to do. Secondly, we must also look at empowering our people at the constituency level, so that we make sure that we, together with other government bodies, that we have education and we're able to get our children through school. We know people are feeling the pain. Ben, let me tell you, people out there are calling with their hands on the phone, because when the bell rings that your airtime is over, you don't know where you're going to get the next airtime. When you fuel, when you mafuta kidogo ya kupika ikiisha, you don't know where you're going to get the next bottle. So those are issues that you must address, and we will only address them by creating employment and making sure that what is produced in the sub-county, in the constituency, gets a market, because we have people who have avocados, we have all those produce, and then we start value adding. Even other farm producers like potatoes and sweet potatoes.
And in Gatundu South, the MP, the next a month or so, he will have now gone to the electorate to seek for a higher office. How do you rate him?
I will leave the people of Gatundu to make
do that
choice.
All right.
And I will not preempt it. They know they are the best judges. Like I keep saying, this representation, sisi watu wa Mashinani, tunaamini ground, tunaamini watu wa Gatundu, anajua watu wa Gatundu watafanya ile kazi yenye anafaa kufanya.
MPs, today is their final stretch.
Yes.
Gigi has given them 3 out of 10 because of the things that he has mentioned that they have failed to do, and especially shield Kenyans from the high cost of living.
Yes.
You want the same seat?
Actually, I agree with the Gigi that I also give them 3 out of 10 because the Kenya is at its worst. I think since I was born, this is the worst time ever Kenya has ever earned. So I really think the current parliament has wasted Kenyans, and the majority of them actually will lose their positions because nobody would want to go with somebody that doesn't care about others. You only care about yourself. Going back to my constituency, Ben, it's a sad story when you have close to a half of your schools without water, close to more than 30% of your schools without power, and the common amenities, toilets, Monday classes, so it makes education pathetic, and you're still teaching the children that education changes, and they feel that maybe they are member of parliament because they are passed through this education system is supposed to assist them. So one of the areas that I'll be looking at is actually to promote education by making sure the infrastructure in the education is well done. Then Tharaka has a lot of minerals. We have lime, we have all forms of the jewelry stones and all that. Even the stones that is used to make metals, they're actually found in Tharaka. So I'll be working with the national government, especially the Minister of Mining, to see whether we can start at least a factory in our region. And still that will be looped to the county government to assist together with me to see how we can create employment through those factories. And as I understand earlier, majority of the young people are jobless. So I will have to put a mechanism to create jobs that includes what I've just spoken and many others. If you look at the infrastructure, roads, there are no roads in Tharaka. That is one of the areas that I'll address after the 9th of August. Once we get into the parliament. And in Tharaka, there are farmers, cereal farmers. Just like my friend has said, in his backyard, there are avocados, there are tea. Tharaka, we don't have tea, and we don't have avocados, but we have things like in green grams. We have dengus and other cereals. So I'll work together with other leaders and also have a few representatives of the community to make sure the prices of our cereals, they've been heightened, they've gone up. And that's the only way that we can help our people. The cereal prices, the livestock prices, because we are also farmers of livestock. If those two things are taken care of, and then we get water for people, and we get electricity for people, we get good infrastructure for our education, we get jobs for our young people, then we do roads as much as we can. I can assure you Tharaka won't be another place.
Yes.
Every investor would want to come.
And still on Tharaka, because the next hour we are going to be talking about food security, and in some parts of Tharaka have been flagged as being places that need urgent assistance when it comes to food.
Yeah, that's true. And the reason being, Tharaka is a semi-arid place. Majority, the bigger part of Tharaka is a semi-arid place. So you don't expect a lot of production. That's why what we produce there actually is the serious that requires very little water. So the major problem with the Tharaka community is water. And we've had people, we've seen even in news that people would even be taken to hospital because they've not had food for days, quite a number of days. And we have witnessed myself. I found people in their houses, they've not eaten even for 3 days, and we have leadership. So this is the leadership that I want to really change and work with the people to alleviate poverty and the problems that are facing our people.
Gentlemen?
Yeah.
Okay, I wish you all the best, and of course I would have wished to have somebody from Azimio, of course, to kind of bring some light also when you talk about the politics of the day. And the deputy president of the running mate factor is still a key issue that is being addressed in the country. Of course, we have come to the end of the first hour of our show today. We're talking about politics. A lot is in store. We also have the Azimio running mate. Raila Odinga will be talking about that a little bit later. We are following up keenly on that, but allow me to just give each a minute to wind up. Gigi, your final sentiments.
Very good. I will tell the people of Gatundu to do this country justice.
All right.
By taking me to Parliament to represent them and other Kenyans so that we make laws that are going to help us out of this poverty. Please walk this journey with me.
Okay.
Wacheni tuende bunge, munipeleke bunge, so that we walk the journey together. We kick poverty out of our area.
Diego, final minute.
Thank you. I will also request and urge the people of Tharaka constituency. Ninawaomba kwa unyenyekevu. You vote me in as your member of parliament on 9th of August. And things will change. I'll change the economy of the people.
All right. Thank you so much. Now let's hear what Azimio One Kenya coalition party leader Raila Odinga is currently addressing the media.
Number of Kenyans, our current and potential entrepreneurs, need human resource development to meet their operational and development needs. We agreed that our people need specialized training designed and offered to the entrepreneurs and their membership organizations at different levels. Even in our recent attempt under the BBI, we committed to promote cottage industries and the pursuit of a policy of import substitution, promote our Jua Kali sector. I recognize the Jua Kali sector as a manifestation and a celebration of what one can do as opposed to what the papers they possess. At last check, the Jua Kali sector employed more than 16 million Kenyans and contributed more than 34% of our GDP. I acknowledge that the dream for a coherent and formal approach to this otherwise critical sector got deferred, but it is not dead. I am here to announce the rebirth of this dream. As I have gone around the country during the Azimio conventions and now the campaigns, and also talking to people in different parts of our country, I have had meetings with members of this sector. Recently, in Nyeri, I had a conversation with over 500 members of this sector. From those meetings, it has become clear that we must address the issues of decent work sites, operating space, market for Jua Kali products, and affordable credit to members of this sector. I'm also talking with experience from other countries like Singapore, like Malaysia and South Korea. I have also realized the need to recognize and reward the players for their skills and help them to continue refining those skills and pass them to the next generation. And so today, I am here to announce a raft of measures that I wish to pursue in the coming months and when in government to help lift the Juakali sector to its rightful place in our economy. First, I want to push for the adoption and implementation of the recognition of prior learning policy in Kenya, RPL. I want to repeat, recognition of prior learning policy in Kenya, RPL. The RPL provides for recognition of knowledge, skills, and competencies, regardless of where and how they were acquired. It is a progression map to facilitate the transition of skilled workers from informality to formality. In other words, these people may not have gone to any technical training institute or college, but through practice they've acquired the knowledge which needs to be recognized. With the RPL, our country and my government will be addressing the needs of millions of Kenyans who flock to work in industrial areas of our various towns, armed with the excellent skills but no certification. They are therefore overworked and underpaid for their otherwise excellent skills. I will give a few examples. Number one, the tile fitters. They're among the best in the world, but because they lack certification, they are unable to directly secure tile fitting jobs. The jobs, therefore, go to middlemen who have papers but no skills, who in turn hire the tile fitters and take the lion's share of the pay. The RPL certification will change this situation completely, allowing our tile fitters to secure the jobs and earn the money directly. Yes. Ukienda kwa nyumba mingi hapa Kenya kuna tiles, yani nyumba ambayo zimezekwa na vigazi. Wale ambao wanafanya hii kazi wako na ujuzi mkubwa, lakini matajiri wanaambia ya kwamba watapata shilingi moja kwa kila tile. Hii haiwezekani. Na tunasema katika chama chetu ya Azimio ati inawezekana, lakini hii haiwezekani. Yani hatutaka kuvumilia. Another example, when ships docking at the coast require repairs, our plumbers and fitters only have photo albums to show for their work, no recognized certificates. The plumbers therefore lose the opportunities to the middlemen who have papers but no skills. This will change with the adoption of the RPL. I want to give you an example of our experience in Kisumu with the president. We found a ship, MV Uhuru, which had been left there since the collapse of the community. That ship was now completely derelict. We looked for experts, but we were given quotations which were very, very heavy indeed. But we looked for those who used to work for the Eastern African community, those who are in the marine industry. Some of them are now retired, just living at home. And we brought them on board. They were able immediately to identify the spare parts in some of the stores there at the port. We also had the knowledge of the sources of other spare parts from companies in the UK. Those were procured. These mechanics went into that ship, and within a matter of days or weeks, they completely overhauled the engine of the ship and repaired it completely, and it was able to be taken back to water, and it is now actually plying the route Kisumu to Port Bell in Kampala. This is basically a demonstration of the skills that we have in this country. Our furniture makers at various Juakali points across the country, like for example Ngong Road, we all agree they make great furniture, but many of them have to go through brokers to reach the high-end market where their products are sold at very high prices, while the makers earn peanuts. The RPL policy will enable artisans to get fair market value for their furniture. Na si Ngong Road peke yake, hata ukienda Mombasa Road, mambo ni haya. Ukienda Kisii Town, huku daraja mbili huku Kisii Town, kuna duka nyingi pale ambao wanauza viti, meza na vitanda. Bidhaa haya zote zinatengenezwa na Mutiso kutoka Kitui. Alafu wanasema tali hiyo viti zimetoka ng'ambo. Mutiso analipwa pesa kidogo sana ya kutengeneza viti na ujuzi yake, lakini mwenye duka anaenda nyumbani na pesa mingi zaidi. Take automobile garages. Every day, thousands of people flock garages where mechanics with excellent skills correctly diagnose the problem and do satisfactory work, but get very little pay due to lack of certification. Most times, renowned garages whose owners have the papers but no skills subcontract the Juakali mechanics for very little pay. This will change with their appropriate certification from the RPL. Ziwani, Kisumu garage, na kila mahali tuko na makanika wengi zaidi. Hawa jamaa wanaleta magari zao kutoka Ujerumani, watafungua na wakatengeneza na wapate shilingi 1,000. Kuna wale ambao wanapiga gari rangi. Kampuni inapata 1,120, na yule mwenye kupiga rangi anapata shilingi 3,000 peke yake. Hii lazima iishe. We all know the hundreds of very skilled painters who line up every morning at the CBD waiting to be contracted by middlemen who get paint contracts. The fortunes of those painters is going to change with the RPL. Utakuta Osoro, utakuta Kinyanjui amekaa kando hapo barabarani, hapo ufungamano street. Ukimsalimia yeye, badala ya yeye akupe mkono, anatoa brush ya kupaka nyumba rangi. Huyu jamaa ako na ujuzi mingi sana. Anajua hata kuchanganya rangi, lakini ile pesa ambaye anatapasa kwanza atanunua naye maziwa, kwa sababu rangi inaumiza kifua ya wafanyikazi. Huyu jamaa na ana ujuzi wake lazima aangaliwe. Maana yake jamaa akitoka pale anaajiriwa, anafanya kazi siku mzima, lakini ikifika jioni ile pesa ambayo anapewa ni kidogo sana, na yule middleman ambaye alimtoa kule ufungamano street yanapata pesa mingi zaidi. Haya hatutaki familia. I am convinced that the adoption and implementation of the RPL policy will have an immediate impact on millions of skilled Kenyans who have no formal recognition. I am aware that the Jubilee government is working to launch this policy, a policy. I want to appeal for speed. My government will pick up from here. It is long past time to do something for this sector, and that has absorbed majority of the new startups, retrenchees, retirees, school dropouts, and those dismissals from the private sector and public sector organizations. It is long past time for the country to do something for this sector, which is currently the single largest employer in the country and a source of livelihood for many. I have also said that it is not right to refer to this sector as an informal sector. It is the biggest employer in the country. As I said from the start, it employs close to 16 million people and actually produces 35% of our GDP. We need to formalize this sector. We need to construct formal sheds for these people, to put up markets for the wares which coming from those sheds, and also regularize the way that they contribute to the economy through payment of some taxes. I want to say that we are going to form a partnership to ensure that this sector is formalized and that it succeeds. This is what we are saying as Azimio la Umoja. Inawezekana. Thank you very much. God bless Kenya. So,
One Kenya presidential candidate, Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, they are having a presser on what he want or he would like achieved as soon as he takes office, if and when he takes office after the general polls, that is in August. We had a similar presser by the Kenya Kwanza led by DP Ruto earlier on, and a lot of politics, but we want to change that. But before we do that, there is the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, which has thrown out an application by Maendeleo Chap to exit Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. The court says they should have sought internal alternative dispute resolution mechanism before heading to the tribunal. It was before a tribunal chaired by Desma Nungo. Of course, we're keeping a keen eye to see exactly what happens there. Of course, the Right Honorable former Prime Minister talking about how he intends to better the economy, which has already been battered by a lot of things, including the COVID-19. And also, each and every election year, our country economy is polarized because of those politics. And because of interest of time, as I alluded to earlier, is that we be talking about matters of food and food security and environmental conservation as a way of ensuring that we have enough and sufficient food, and the right food for that matter. Because looking at a couple of months ago, Kenya, over 10 counties are in dire need of food. And as we speak, Kenyans are also contributing to that kitty. But question is, should we be having this cycle each and every season or each and every time when we have drought in the country? Well, I have experts here to help us in that discussion. And joining me now on set, on my immediate left, is Jane Jane Wambogo, who is the Deputy Director in the Ministry of Agriculture and the head of Nutrition Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperatives. But before I do introduce her, let's first of all head back to Azimio presidential candidate Presa.
Nyonywa na wale waajiri. Hawezi hao jamaa hawezi kupata kandarasi. Kandarasi inapewa wale wanasema watu wa katikati, wale mabwanyenye ambao sasa ndio wanakwenda wanawaajiri, na mingi ya pesa ambayo inatoka katika hizo kandarasi inaenda kwa mabwanyenye. Wao wanapata tu kitu kidogo. Kwa upande ya wale wafanyikazi kama upande ya welders, wengine kwa wale wafanyakazi ya ujenzi ya nyumba, kwa mfano yani plumbers and carpenters and masons na kadhalika. Wao wengine wafanya kazi, lakini kwa sababu hawana ujuzi, hawana vitambulisho au makaratasi, hawalipwi vile inatakikana walipwe. Mtu kwa mfano anazeeka nyumba, anaweka vigae, na yeye analipwa ati kigae moja shilingi moja, gae moja shilingi moja. Yule mtu ambaye alipewa kandarasi ndio anachukua mingi ya pesa hizo. Wananyonywa na mabwanyenye. Tumesema tunataka kumaliza haya, kuleta ile kitu tunaitwa the RPL, ambaye itatambua ujuzi wa mtu na kumpatia yeye shahada ambayo anaweza kutumia kikazi, ili ionekane ya kwamba yeye na ujuzi yake inatambulika. Hii tutaleta na tutamaliza hii mambo ya unyonyeshaji katika hii sekta ya jua kali. Nimesema jua kali na hata wale watu wengine wale hawkers ambayo wanafanya kazi, tunataka kutambua kwa kuwasaidia na kutumia mpango kama yale ambayo tumeona katika nchi zingine, kama nchi ya Malaysia, nchi ya Singapore, nchi ya Korea Kusini, hata India. Wametambulika na wamechangia vilivyo kwa ujenzi ya uchumi ya nchi hizo zote. Tutajenga zile vyumba, yani sheds ya watu wa jua kali, pale ambayo wao wanaweza kufanya kazi, na vile vile store na soko ya bidhaa ambazo zinatoka katika viwanda yao hizo. Yote kifanyika, hii sekta itaenea Wakenya wengi zaidi. Manake hii ni pale unaitwa chanzo. Watu wanaanza huko chini na baadaye kwa yale jitihada zao wanainuka na wanakwenda juu mpaka wafike mahali ambao sasa wao wanakuwa ni middle class, yani matajiri. Hiyo ndio itaweza kumaliza ufukara katika taifa letu. Shukran sana. Niwaambia kwamba Azimio la Umoja iko tayari kufanya kazi na sekta hii, na tunasema kwa Azimio ya kwamba inawezekana. Shukran, asanteni sana.
Presidential candidate there, the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga there, responding to some questions from the media. They are talking about the last statement he has made is in regard to the informal sector and also the jua kali sectors, so that they may be able to uplift their livelihoods and also their businesses. And especially now that the economy has been quite battered, we're just recovering, and talking about Azimio is the way to go. Of course, we'll be bringing you a much comprehensive report in our subsequent bulletin. But because of the interest of time, allow me to dig in the conversation of this hour, where we're talking about food security. And before we went back to Karen for that presser, I had just introduced the Deputy Director in the Ministry of Agriculture, Jane Wambogo, who also who heads the nutrition department in the ministry. And on my extreme left, we have Daniel. Daniel, karibu sana. Daniel Wanjuki, who is an environment conservation expert and also the CEO of EcoSave Africa. Of course, environment and matters food and nutrition go hand in hand, because if we don't have a good environment, then we cannot talk about good, clean, and also affordable food that will not only put food on the table, but also some coins in our pockets. Karibuni sana. And straight into the discussion, kindly tell us more about what your department does, because it's quite an interesting department, matters nutrition in the ministry.
Thank you. My name is Jane Wambugo. I'm in the department of agriculture, crop resources, and agriculture research, and I head agriculture and nutrition. Agriculture and nutrition is the area where we talk about production, and production also of nutritious food, and also improving consumption of nutritious food, as well as also improving on our production system, our food system, from production to consumption. That is the department, the unit that I head.
Yes, and there's something quite interesting I saw in your profile is that you are very keen on ensuring that we have food and we have fortified foods, and especially flour. Can you tell us about that?
Thank you. We have production, our food production system, and especially our staple foods in Kenya. Mostly the common one is maize.
Yes.
And maize in itself, and the way it is processed, is not nutritious so much. So to improve on the nutrition content of our maize, we have been campaigning on also informing our consumers as well as our producers how we can blend our flour. And why are we blending? It is because the content, the nutrition content of maize alone is not sufficient. So if we had the other foods that can be produced in our arid and semi-arid region, that is sorghum, the millet, the cassava, these foods are more nutritious. By just blending our maize for ugali at just 10% of these nutritious commodities like sorghum and millet, it will improve the nutrition content, even just with 10%. But if we blend it at 30%, our maize and millet, maize and sorghum, maize or cassava, it will address the maize deficit that we normally get into this country, even currently that we are experiencing. So if we can blend with just those commodities that can be grown in these arid lands very well, they do very well. So we don't have to continue producing maize in those areas. We can produce those other commodities.
But there's something that I've noticed that a lot of Kenyans have not yet quite embraced the fortification. Talking about perhaps I mix the maize and the millet and then I make ugali. And even in shelves, supermarkets don't even stock this much. And also in kiosks back at home, we don't see this kind of flour or this kind of foods actually being preferred by Kenyans, and they're quite nutritious as opposed to just the maize alone. And there are so many challenges when it comes to maize, because there's also the big risk of aflatoxins as well.
Thank you. That is why the government has come up with the flour blending, and flour blending has a framework. There is a communication on how the producers can produce those commodities, also how our millers can encompass the milling. There have been discussion and engagement on the same, on how to engage on blending of flours, and also even how to really bring out the consumer awareness. And you are right, we don't have this product in the shelf because the product has to be milled. But our Kenya Bureau of Standards have done a very great job. The standards are there on how to mill millet and sorghum, how to mill millet and maize, millet and sorghum and maize. So the maize is the base commodity. The breading is by breading with these other two commodities. Even the maize and cassava, because of the deficit bit, and also improving nutrition. So what we have, the Kenya Bureau of Standards have come up with the clear standards, and the clear standard also stipulate on how the safety of the maize and how the maize is even aggregated. The standards are very clear on that, and based on that now, it is to campaign for our consumers and also to assist and to encourage our millers to mill these commodities so that we can get it in our shelves in the market.
Okay, let's look at the environment. Daniel, looking at the environment and current situation, in Kenya we have very poor environmental conservation skills, and we have even coupled that, the fertilizers that we are even using in our lands end up doing more harm than good.
Great. Actually, what Madam Jane has just explained is a shift from our normal source of food. There was a time we commoditized with maize flour. We even made it as white as snow.
Yes.
In trying to please the consumer. But in the process, we actually wiped out so much nutrients. When you take away the husk and you take up the jam, you actually depleting the food nutrients. And I'm glad that now there's a government communication and also a move to energize or to fortify our food sources. However, as the ministry tries to focus on maize growing is becoming more difficult because of climate change. I come from a maize growing region in Laikipia where it takes 7 months to grow one crop. It is now becoming very difficult to be sure that you get rainfall for that 7 months. And so climate change comes in. And now environmental conservation is the only way to actually ensure that climate change does not overrun us. We've been told that if we go by the trend we have now, in the next 10 years or so, there may be no rain. Rains that come in April, like this year, rains came very late. Not late, actually. Rains came in a smaller quantity than normal, because when you say late, it means that it's going to be available for the same 1 month or so, but it was only there for 2 weeks. So we need to focus what is it that is changing our climate so much that our food source is being threatened. When you go to northeastern, they have had more than 1 year of no rain. Rains failed, they didn't come. That's why I'm saying they didn't delay, they actually didn't come. And it has happened for a whole 1 year. In the Savo, right here as you go towards Mombasa, the Savo has been very dry and our wildlife is dying.
Yes.
We have a source of income which we classify as tourism, but our animals are dying. So
there are no animals, no tourists.
Yes, exactly. So that's where environmental management comes in, and my company, EcoSafe Africa, has a focus on reducing climate change. And we succeeded very well with actually improving on fertilizer generation. In your compound, you could do compost, but the compost management process actually generated methane gas. And that is one of the reasons climate change is happening. So we got a solution that actually knocks out methane gas from composting. And that is one of the output from our company.
You're talking about a substance like a fertilizer as well, but what exactly are you talking about?
Okay, we came up with a product called EcoTreat Waste Digester, which when introduced into a dump, dump site or a lump of dung, does not generate methane gas, but instead becomes nutrients available to the plant within 10 to 15 days.
10 to 15 days?
Yeah, which is now a new science, actually it's a completely new science of waste management that prevents us from having methane gas as one of the output from the dam site, the village place where everybody throws the waste. And the waste from market waste, your garden waste, does not have to go through methane production.
And is it different from the fertilizers that we have, mostly we import from, I think it's Ukraine and Russia. Is it different from that? Because why I'm asking this is because we have ended up making our environment more worse by what we use in our soils.
Exactly.
And how better is it from the fertilizer? Of course, even the prices themselves are quite high as well.
Exactly. Thank you. What is different here is that we do not actually bring a chemical. It's not a chemical. It's actually bacteria we have captured. We've grown bacteria. You saw it 1 kg of that product. That is compact. Madam Jane will tell you that getting a 1 kg of bacteria would be...
It takes a while.
Unimagined in the past. But now this is something we grow in our farm and we package it for farmers. When farmers use this in their waste management site, they're able to turn around the compost into manure that can be used within the farm within a very short time. And this material also improves humic acid and it's organic, and it also removes the need for you to use inorganic fertilizer. We know inorganic fertilizer, that is DAP, CAN, has actually messed our soils. Our soil structure is completely damaged. It is not able to support moisture even for crops to grow within. When the little rain comes, the soil is not able to hold that water, and we lose it in storm drain. And you find that farms are actually silt is going to the river because the soil structure has been destroyed by the fertilizer, the inorganic fertilizer. And that's why we come in and try to promote farmers to use manure, which is actually also able to hold water. It's organic, it's able to hold water for longer. Bacteria are able to grow within that and break down the waste. What you see as cow dung or garden waste is not available to plants. Plants don't eat other plants. They actually depend on that material being decomposed. Then you get nutrients that can now be absorbed by plants. And that's where
it's quite a technology, because a lot of farmers would benefit, because a lot of farmers keep cows, goats, chicken.
Exactly.
Okay, before we go to that, tell us about the National Agri-Nutrition Guidelines, which led to the launch of the 1 million, you call them kitchen garden initiative. Because let's be fair, when the politicians are digging in the land issue in Kenya, we don't have land and we cannot make more land in Kenya. What we have is what we have, but the population keeps growing. But you started an initiative where we can do kitchen gardens, and kindly tell us about that.
Thank you. Yes, the 1 million kitchen garden initiative is a government initiative in which we wish to see all the households having a kitchen garden, whether you live in a balcony, whether you're in the urban setting or in the rural setting. We have a number of technologies that can take, they are water resilient technologies, so the climate issue is really...
Actually, I wanted to mention that because if you're talking about a kitchen garden in Nairobi, there is also the issue of water.
Yes, they are water resilient technology in terms of the way the technologies have been designed. We have a demonstration site at Kilimo House that is just here in Nairobi. You can come and see and pick a technology. 11 technologies have been displayed. And in these technologies, you can produce your vegetables wherever you are.
We do not even run the risk of oxygen deficiency, because these plants also as well take in a lot of oxygen. So if we decide to be having these kitchen gardens, it will not affect that.
No, it will not have. It's actually, it's now going to remove the carbon dioxide from the air and just produce the vegetables. So what we really wish our households to have is a vegetable garden. A study that was conducted in 2015, stepwise survey, indicated the consumption of fruits and vegetables in the country is very low. And we know that the importance of vegetables in the diet. For us to have a healthy diet, that you have to have the number of servings of vegetable per day. But in the current, from the study, it was shown that the consumption is quite low, below 4%, meaning we need to increase our vegetable consumption and to have access and availability of these vegetables at household level. It is to produce them at household level. It doesn't matter the size of land. Some are multi-storied, some
you can grow them in your fifth floor or fourth floor.
Yes, and some even they go horizontally. You don't have to have that ground. You know, in large sizes, we just consider the ground. But when you are talking about a multi-story garden, it goes upward. So you can have those small-story garden. You can have with the drip irrigation type. The type of irrigation we are also recommending.
In your fourth floor or fifth floor?
Yes. You can have those bottles we throw allowed. There's recycling of even the plastic bottle for water. We can have them being the ones that are offering that drip. If the initiative has brought out how even to efficiently conserve water as you do the vegetable production. So it is a recommendation, and this is a government initiative and a call for every citizen. Have your vegetable garden even at your doorstep, so that you can produce your vegetables for consumption and even to improve our diet. And once you improve our diet, the immunity also increases. So we lower the cost of health services by the way we eat and how we eat. And the other thing you had talked about is the issue of fortification.
Yes.
Our flour, once they are blended, they need to be fortified. Fortified is adding minerals and vitamins to the whatever we lost during the processing, it is added. And every flour in the market right now, it is fortified. This is the fortified flour we are saying, can it also be blended so that we add more nutrients? It's fortified, it is breaded, and you can see our healthy, and our nation will be healthy. Our farmers will earn more.
Yes, and Daniel, to dig in that as well, because looking at that's quite a good initiative where you can have your garden in your 5th floor or 10th floor, and it's also not only nutritious, it's a good way of reducing the cost of food in your own house. Let's look at the environment and the fertilizers perhaps we are using, because the costs, as we are looking at it now, it's quite high. But manure is always cheaper than the fertilizer. But a lot of farmers do not want to embrace manure as they want to embrace fertilizers, and fertilizers do more harm than the manure.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Because your technology, I'm quite sure it's quite new. Has it been embraced in the country?
Actually, our colleagues, 2 of our colleagues, have worked on this. One of them was a master's student, and another one was also got an experience with our product at Cambridge. I mean at Kari, what they could now call Karo. But what our product does is, not many neighbors will want you to haul dung from Masai Manyata in Kajiado and bring it into a town set up, and then you want to use it for growing crops. What our product does is it breaks down the waste into water.
Okay.
And it will eliminate carbon dioxide and eliminate other gases, but it will retain the nutrients. And that's why what she's talked about, the vertical gardens, the hydroponics, the gunia where you actually plant your sukuma, what you need to feed into that is not manure from a cow shed, but nutrients that are actually been weaned out or removed from that heap of dung, and then the nutrients are now available to plants, and they are organic.
Because of the interest of time, where can somebody find your product? Because I'm really going to keep a keen eye on that, because it's quite something that has not been tried in the country.
It's quite new. Our product actually has been used for cleaning up rivers to make it easier for agriculture. Also for when you want to use soil, some of the Nairobi sites you cannot collect soil from the place outside there and use it for growing crops because they have heavy metals. But this, our product, EcoTreat Waste Digester, can be used for actually releasing the nutrients from even the bush in the forest. You go collect the leaves and then convert them into the nutrients. EcoSafe Africa operates from Kitengela, and our office actually is opposite to Eastmart Supermarket in Kitengela. We are also available on online. Our website is www.ecosafeafrica.com, and you can also get us on Instagram, Facebook, and others.
Final words. Unfortunately, we are out of time in a minute.
Thank you. I'll call upon a Kenyan citizen that each of us is capable of having a garden, a kitchen garden, and so that we can eat healthy, they are accessible, they are nutritious, and also they are safe. So I'll call upon all our Kenyans, let's have a kitchen garden. Let's also eat healthy food.
Yes.
And I'll call also on our producers also to produce healthy food for the Kenyan population.
Unfortunately, we are out of time because in Kenya we have quite a divide. We are talking about counties lacking food, and we also have here in big towns like Nairobi, we have poor eating habits. We have obesity that is quite cropping in cities and towns. We also could have looked at how to reduce food wastage, the risk of commercialization. So I think, honestly, our producers will grant us some other time so that we may look at this issue more critically. But thank you so much for your insight. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much, Jane. I've been speaking to two experts when you talk about matters environment. I've been talking to Jane Wambogo, who is a Deputy Director in the Ministry of Agriculture and also heads the nutrition department there. And also, we also had Daniel, who is the CEO of EcoSave Africa and also an environment expert, trying to put things into perspective, because we need these two things so that we may be able to actualize food security in the country. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Bentroy Njue. I see Ann Wangeshi is our sign language interpreter, but I'm giving rise to Kurunzi, Mashinani and Tamrini coming up next. Thank you so much for watching. Let's continue this conversation on social media.
The effects of climate change.
Sasa wakati ya kiangazi huwa sisi ni watu zaidi maskini watu wetu.
But what options are there to address this global challenge? Join Ruth Wamboi as she focuses on community-based options to mitigate the effects of climate change. Nipping the Bud, a 3-part feature series starting this Wednesday.
Ooh, la, la, la. Smile. Ooh la la la. It's in real, and baby your body's yeah. It's like I checked in real, 'cause you only need the light when it's burning low. Only hate the road when you're missing home. Just make a wish, you'll never want the things, baby. Give me that good loving.
But I have the brains. Plus, I am a wife material compared to you nonsense.
Atito, you have already forgotten how Farah here helped you with the same problem just the other day.
Ati, he said thank you. Farah, it sounds like utalalia sante kama mattress.
Julia, so all your friends are pregnant?
Chakula baridi. That is ultimate revenge. Speaking of cold foods,
You are the only one I'll ever love. Yeah, you. If it's not you, it's not anyone.
My name is Esther. Niko class 7 na I'm a musician. Niko kwa bandi inaitwa Wainga Wenyeji Band. And kwa bandi yetu nacheza acoustic guitar.
We follow 3 children, Zuri, Jasiri and Toto,
as they go to visit their grandparents.
I'm going to show you guys on how to make the yummiest pancakes just at the comfort of your home.
I'm going to teach you how to make a fairy house using a toilet roll.
Come to give you worship. I have come to give you thanks. I have come to give you praises. I have come to lift my hands, oh Papa.
Unajua wewe umezoea stress mpaka shida zimemea kwako.
Sisi tunaanza matusi hapa, sawa?
Mzee, nilitamani sana tushughulikie kitu.
Hapo kamzee ni babangu na utamadress na heshima from now henceforth.
Good morning Jane, mwangaji.
Umetuma gari mafuta mpaka kutoka Nairobi mpaka hapa kuja kuniambia mambo ya familia.
Yeye ndio ufanye DNA tujue kama ni wa mzee wako ama si wa mzee wako.
Kwa sababu huku ni kwangu nafanya vile nataka. Kwanza leta hizi gasi unakunywa hapa.
Tulizaliwa kitambo.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how angry is Mama Jane?
13. Zile kazi bwana niachie mimi. Mtoto anukia marashi ya Zanzibar. Mimi sitaki uguswe hata na nzi.
Ndio nakupa jeuri, si ndio?
Safari, sitaki maneno.
Yangu mimi na kila mtu.
Po vitu kidogo ndio tutakufanya wewe utumie $100,000.
Kuna vitu vingine sijaandika hapo dad.
Nikusaidieje? Msaada kutoka kwako? Hapana.
Wachana na matatizo wewe. Sawa? Na sipomwacha matatizo utanifanya nini?
Hujambo popote unapotazama runinga ya KBC na karibu kwenye Kurunzi Mashinani, ikiwa ni awamu ya saa 6 kamili. Ni mengi tuliokuandalia hii leo. Mimi ni Zainab Said, katika lugha ya ishara ni Ann Wangeshi, lakini kwanza tuanze na taarifa ambayo ni zoezi linaloendelea hivi sasa. Kumbuka muungano wa Azimio One Kenya unatafuta mgombea mwenza, na hii leo ilikuwa zamu yake kinara wa Wiper Kalonzo Musyoka. Hebu tusikize ni yapi aliyosema baada ya kuhudhuria majadiliano hayo. Tazama.
Please listen to me. I've had a very useful 2-hour conversation with the panelists led by Mheshimiwa Noah Wekesa. 2-hour conversation, which was very useful, I believe. And because I'm not at liberty to divulge the contents of that conversation, I stress conversation, not an interview. I know that you may want to ask a question. You had said you are not coming. And I want to tell you that the decision to come was my decision, because I realized we didn't want to give anybody an excuse whatsoever to say, aligomea kuja. So I'm here, and I can tell you it has been a wonderful conversation. Wazee kama Bishop Jenga, Archbishop Zacharias Okoth, I looked at that in my own mind and I said, why would I not want to go and greet Archbishop Okoth at his age? Therefore, I had to take that decision, and I want to ask that all my supporters who had given me their interview, even the conclusions of those interviews, were carried forward. Thank you so much. Please protect.
Kweli? Sawa. Wacheni kufinyana bana. Wacheni kutumana bana.
Naam, ni picha za awali hapo ambapo kinara wa Wiper Kalonzo Musyoka aliweza kufika katika kamati hiyo ambayo inaongoza zoezi la kumchagua mgombea mwenza wa kinara ama mgombea wa urais katika muungano wa Azimio One Kenya, ambaye anasema alifanya maamuzi ya kufika pale ili kuhudhuria mazungumzo hayo. Ni taarifa ambayo tunaifuatilizia na katika taarifa zetu za baadaye, ikiwemo saa 7 na saa 1 jioni tutakuwa tunakujuza kikamilifu, lakini tusonge mbele ambapo zaidi ya kina mama 1000 walisherehekea siku ya kimataifa ya kina mama ulimwenguni hapo jana. Walipokea msaada wa chakula na mavazi kutoka kwa shirika la Amanda Marga Mission. Shirika hilo hutoa msaada wa chakula na mavazi kila mwezi kwa familia zisizobahatika katika jamii, huku shirika hilo likipania kufungua afisi zaidi humo nchini kuwafikia Wakenya zaidi wenye mahitaji. Tizama.
Difficulty a mother goes through in terms of looking after their children, looking after, the community, looking after their spouses, the house. They are the true strength of most people, most families, most communities. So to mothers, a big salute to all of you. We really, really, truly respect you. We really, really are grateful, appreciative for all the hard work you put, all the love you give everyone, and making sure as your children you're given the best love.
Tunasherehekea siku ya leo, naona tumepewa blanketi, tumepewa cabbage, tumepewa unga, donors wamejitolea. Hawa mama hawana uwezo, unaona tuko hata na watoto wanalia kwa sababu njaa ni nyingi. Kuna wamama hata wenye hawapeleki watoto shuleni. Serikali ikiingilia katikati tunasema ni asante.
Tumesaidiwa na unga, tumesaidiwa na blanketi, tumesaidiwa na kila kitu. Tunaomba serikali ikusaidie sisi wanyonge, hatuna kazi, tuko na njaa, hata wakati wa corona tuna mbele wala nyuma, watoto hawaendi shule. Tunataka serikali ikusaidie.
Always encourage government private partnership. That is why I'm here, and I wish to thank the whole Anadamaga mission for considering to assist Kagembi resident, and especially the disadvantaged ones.
We are heading for the general election, so we would like to appeal from all the mothers and everyone from the nation that please maintain peace, because if there is peace, there is love. If there is love, we are together, and there is a unity in the society. So we appeal from everyone, please go for peaceful election and make peace, build peace, keep peace and live in peace.
Mbali na hayo, mwanamke wa umri wa miaka 23 katika kijiji cha Mulunyu, kaunti ya Kakamega, anauguza majeraha mabaya baada ya kupigwa na mumewe kutokana na ugomvi wa kinyumbani. Mume huyo Ibrahim Ombete semekana alifika nyumbani kwake akiwa na mwanamke mwingine, jambo lililosababisha majibizano makali na kisha majeraha. Tizama.
Kijiji cha Mulunyu, kaunti ya Kakamega, ambako makabiliano baina ya mume na mkewe ambaye wamekuwa kwenye ndoa kwa miezi 7 yalizuka. Gentris Kaleha ana maumivu makali baada ya kushambuliwa na mumewe Ibrahim Ombete.
Niko natoka juu, alileta mwanamke mwingine kwa nyumba. Nikamwambia mimi siwezi kaa hapa kwa nyumba na mwanamke mwenzangu.
Kaleha anasema kuwa walidungwa kisu walipojaribu kutoroka kutoka nyumbani kwao kufuatia ugomvi na mumewe.
Anipeleka kwake kwa nyumba, ndo akafunga mlango na kafuri, akachukua slasha akaanza kunichapa. Akitoka na nifungia ndani na kafuri, hata kwenda choo ni shida.
Familia ya Kaleha inadai haki, kwani mumewe amekuwa na tabia kumdhulumu mke wake.
Hiyo uhusiano kuanzia last year mwezi wa 8, batari lilikuwa tu ya kuchapana, kufungiana kwa nyumba, kuchapana, kufungiana kwa nyumba. Haja kwako tuna ile freedom ya kujiexpose, kutembea. Hata mtoni kuna wakati niliona akitoka mtoni saa 3 usiku.
Familia hiyo imewataka maafisa husika kumchukulia hatua Ibrahim Ombete mbali na kushughulikia swala la dhulma za kijinsia.
Tamani ama tuziona vizuri mtoto kama huyu akifanywa hivi, na wale ambao wako pia ambao hata wajafikia mahali pa kuonekana wanapitia hali kama hii. Tungependa serikali iwapo jambo kama hilo linaweza wafikia, wafanye kwa undani kabisa, wafanye investigation ili mambo kama hayo yafanya nini yepuko katika jamii.
Frederick Mwoki, Kurunzi, Mashinani.
Haya, takriban watumishi 30,000 wamepokea ushauri na saha tangu serikali ilipozindua mpango wa afya ya akili yapata miaka 3 iliyopita. Katibu katika Wizara ya Utumishi wa Umma, Masuala ya Jinsia, Mary Kimonye, amesema serikali ilianzisha mpango huo kufuatia ongezeko la visa vya msongo wa mawazo na kujitoa uhai miongoni mwa watumishi wa umma. Kimonye amesema kuwa hivi karibuni serikali itazindua mpango kuhusu kwa jina la sera maadili kazini kuwezesha watumishi wa umma kuhimili changamoto za kikazi.
Afya ya akili imekuwa changamoto kubwa miongoni mwa wafanyikazi wa umma. Kwa hivyo ipo haja ya kuboresha huduma za ushauri na saha.
Both their quality of life and their capability to perform, and therefore their productivity and in fact national productivity. And this is why we cannot afford to put off the issues of mental health in the public service any longer.
Wafanyikazi hao pia watapata ushauri na saha kwa wafanyikazi wenzao ambao huenda wanakabiliwa na msumbuko wa kiakili au ambao huenda wanakabiliwa na kiwewe ili kutambua iwapo wanahitaji matibabu maalum.
Dignity at work policy, because I am very passionate that people should be dignified as they do their work. They should be dignified emotionally. They should be dignified in the words that are used on them. They should be dignified in the actions that are directed at them.
Katibu katika Wizara ya Utumishi wa Umma ya Jinsia, Mary Kimonye, alisema mpango huo umewadia wakati unaofaa huku visa vya matatizo ya kiakili vikiendelea kuongezeka.
Depression creeps on us slowly. You may find somebody who was very talkative, they are all of a sudden very quiet. Yeah? Somebody who used to come to work on time, now they are not coming to work on time. Somebody who would put up their hand to answer a question, now they are withdrawn. And this is why we are training the mental health champions to be able to look at these changes in an individual. So you need to be very, very alert.
Kwa mujibu wa ripoti ya Shirika la Afya Duniani, Kenya imeorodheshwa ya 6 miongoni mwa taifa ya bara Afrika ambayo yana viwango vya juu zaidi ya visa vya msongo wa mawazo, ambapo visa milioni 1.9 vimenakiliwa. Ruth Wamboi, Kurunzi, Mashinani.
Shukran Ruth Wamboi. Na Wizara ya Elimu sasa inaangazia zaidi makuzi ya vipaji na uwezo wa wanafunzi kwenye sera inayotekelezwa kwa sasa. Kwa mujibu wa Katibu Mwandamizi katika Wizara ya Elimu, Dr. Sarah Ruto, mpango huo wa elimu wa umilisi yani CBC pamoja na mpango wa utathmini uwezo wa wanafunzi unalenga kujenga vipaji na nyenzo za wanafunzi.
Allowed us to be mean, we never even offered water so that we on this side of the ministry.
Akiongea wakati afisa mkuu mtendaji wa shirika la wakifu wa kimataifa kuhusu elimu, Charles North, alipotembelea Wizara ya Elimu, Sarah Ruto alisema uafikiaji, usawa na umuhimu vitaendelea kuwa vigezo vikuu vya kutoa mwongozo kwa sera za elimu, mtaala na kielelezo.
At the moment, our exams are serving many other purposes, but perhaps losing the child. You know, so bringing it back to focus on the child abilities, potential of the child, rather than mean scores that sometimes are good for saying school A is good and teacher A is good, but you lose the child.
Wakati alipokuwa akimpongeza Rais Uhuru kuwa bingwa wa elimu, North alisema wakifu wa kimataifa wa elimu ulifurahishwa na hatua zilizopigwa na serikali katika Wizara ya Elimu.
What the key priorities are for Kenya in education and how they align with the work that GPE our support. As I said, this is a vitally important effort, not just for Kenya, it's for the world. And so we'd love to talk with you more about how we keep this good work going.
Katibu wa elimu ya msingi Daktari Julius Juan alisema serikali ilikuwa inaimarisha uwezo wa kuwatathmini wanafunzi kutumia mfumo wa kidijitali.
Our teachers who are already trained and have not been recruited yet by the Teacher Service Commission are going back to the colleges to get their training upgraded, to upgrade themselves into what we call diploma, which in our context is a little higher than what they had before. Now, within the training, there are certain basic tenets that we didn't capture in the previous curriculum that we want them to acquire. One of them, of course, is that digital component.
Alisema serikali imeshirikisha teknolojia ya mawasiliano kuhakikisha walimu wanaofuzu kutoka vyuo vya mafunzo wana uwezo wa kiufundi kushirikisha teknolojia ya mawasiliano katika mafunzo na masomo. Jelis Aladi, Kurunzi Mashinani.
Na sasa katika makala ya kila siku ya Ifahamu Uchina, ambapo hii leo tunaangazia ulaji wa maua. Mtazamaji, je, wajua kwamba kuna aina ya maua ambayo sio mmea tu wa kuboresha mazingira bali pia ni lishe bora? China ina historia ya miaka 2000 ya ulaji wa maua. Kwa mujibu wa utafiti, maua yana virutubishi vingi vikiwemo protini na vitamini. Wakazi wa mkoa wa Yunnan ulioko kusini mwa China wana historia ya kukaanga maua ya hariri ya pamba kuwa vitafunio. Ulaji huu wa maua umeenea zaidi sehemu ya mashariki ya China, hasa katika majira ya mchipuko. Desturi hii ya kula maua inatupambia makala yetu ya leo ya Ifahamu Uchina.
Kwa watu wa mkoa wa Yunnan, kusini magharibi mwa China, maua ya hariri ya pamba sio tu yanavutia macho, bali pia ni kiungo kinachokaangwa na nyama katika milo yao. Katika kaunti ya Yuanjiang, mkazi wa eneo hilo Bai Xuefen anasema tangu akiwa mdogo amekuwa anachuma maua ya hariri ya pamba wakati yanapochipua mwezi Februari kila mwaka ili kusaidia kuandaa chakula. Kwa mujibu wa maelezo ya wakazi wa huko, kabla ya kupika maua ya hariri ya pamba, wanasugua stameni kwa chumvi ili kuondoa uchachu. Mkoa wa Yunnan unajivunia hali nzuri ya hewa kwa kilimo cha aina nyingi za maua. Kutokana na maua freshi kupatikana kwa wingi wakati wa msimu wa maua kuchanua, wakazi wa huko wanapendelea kuyaongeza katika vyakula vyao. Katika upande wa mashariki mwa China, hivi karibuni mapishi ya maua yamekuwa yakishika kasi katika sehemu hiyo ambako aina nyingi za maua ya spring yanayoliwa yanavutia watu. Katika soko kubwa la mboga freshi la Hema mjini Nanjing, mkoa wa Jiangsu, maboksi ya maua freshi yanayoliwa kama vile Sophora, Chrysanthemum, mawaridi na yasmini yanawapatia wenyeji wa huko ladha mpya ya msimu huu. Kwa mujibu wa soko hilo, mauzo ya maua hayo mapya yamekuwa yakiongezeka. Ili kuongeza zaidi mauzo, soko hilo kubwa pia linauza maua yaliyochakatwa kiasi. Maduka ya kwenye mtandao yanauza oda zaidi ya 5,000 ya maua ya Sophora kwa mwezi. Wakati huo huo, mawaridi pia ni maarufu sana na yanaweza kutumika kutengeneza jamu ya mawaridi, mvinyo, chai ama keki.
Naam, kama unatafuta vitamini na protini, sasa unajua la kufanya. Zamia kwenye nini? Maua. Mtazamaji, ni hayo tu tuliokuandalia hii leo kwenye Kurunzi Mashinani awamu hii. Ni mpishe Nancy Okware kwenye mjadala wa tamrini. Hadi wakati mwingine, Mola akijalia, tutafanya hivi tena. Umekuwa nami Zainab Said, katika lugha ya ishara imekuwa ni Ann Wangeshi. Maasalam.
The effects of climate change.
Sasa wakati ya kiangazi huwa sisi ni watu zaidi maskini watu wetu.
But what options are there to address this global challenge? Join Ruth Wamboi as she focuses on community-based options to mitigate the effects of climate change. Nipping the Bud, a 3-part feature series starting this Wednesday.
Ooh, la, la, la. Smile. Ooh, la, la, la.
It's real, and maybe your mind is easy. Your mind is, yeah. It's like I checked in real.
Thank you. Please don't make up stories and make false accusations against Pinky.
Enough. What's wrong? Shannon, what's wrong? Are you all right? What are you doing?
Things went just as we planned. I hurt myself, but Pinky Lean will have to take the blame.
Windsor, I love you. If you marry me, I'll make you the happiest person in the entire world.
Pinky also has a gift for you.
Charlene?
Your eyes.
Hello?
Gonzalo, it's Monica.
How dare you call me up right here at my house?
Gonzalo, it's an emergency. He left a note saying that he's leaving. What? You don't seem to think that he has to be found urgently, Gonzalo, for heaven's sake!
Yes, that's her. What did you say, Mom?
I'm sure that was his ex-secretary's voice. I'm very sure.
How is he? Is he alive?
I don't know. He looks like he's not breathing. Hold on, I'm gonna put him down.
You, Shima. Elevated suburban drive. You want a title shot? Well, come get it. Hell, Contra.
Najua wewe umezoea stress mpaka shida zimemea kwako.
Sisi tunaanza matusi hapa, sawa?
Mzee, nilitamani sana tushughulikie kitu.
Hapo kamzee ni babangu. Na utamwa destination from now henceforth.
Good morning, Jane. Mamkaji.
Umechuma gari mafuta mpaka kutoka Nairobi mpaka hapa. Kuja kuniambia mambo ya familia.
Yeye ndio ufanye DNA. Tujue kama ni wa mzee wako ama si wa mzee wako.
Kwa sababu huku ni kwangu nafanya vile nataka. Kwanza hata hizi gasi unakunywa hapa.
Tulilaniwa kitambo.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how angry is Mama Jane?
13.
You are the only one I'll ever love. Yeah, you. If it's not you, it's not anyone. My name is Esther. Niko class 7 na I'm a musician. Niko kwa bandi inaitwa Wainga Wenyeji Band. And kwa bandi yetu nacheza acoustic guitar.
We follow 3 children, Zuri, Jasiri, and Toto, as they go to visit their grandparents.
I'm going to show you how to make the yummiest pancakes just at the comfort of your home.
I'm going to teach you how to make a fairy house using a toilet roll.
Come to give you worship. I have come to give you thanks. I have come to give you praises. I have come to lift my hands, oh Papa.
Swadakta kabisa mpenzi mtazamaji, leo hii ni siku ya Jumanne, tarehe ikiwa ni 10 mwezi Mei mwaka 2022. Karibu sana kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini. Ni kipindi ambacho tunaandaa mijadala, na leo hii mtazamaji tutakuwa tunazungumza kuhusiana na uchumi, hususan katika kaunti ya Busia, ikizingatiwa kwamba sasa hivi ugatuzi unakumbana na changamoto, manake tunaelekea katika kipindi cha uchaguzi mkuu, na hivyo basi tunatarajia kwamba kutakuwa na mabadiliko katika uongozi katika kaunti mbalimbali. Hivyo basi ni kipi ambacho kinastahili kufanywa tofauti, na vile vile njia ambazo zinastahili kutumika ili kuhakikisha kwamba ile miradi ambayo pengine ilikuwa imeanzishwa na uongozi wa awali inazidi kuendelea. Na hivyo basi leo hii kwenye studio nitakuwa nazungumza naye Raila Odinga, ambaye ni mbunge wa zamani wa Teso Kaskazini, na vile vile ni yule ambaye ameteuliwa kuwa naibu wa gavana Paul Otuoma katika kinyang'anyiro cha ugavana katika kaunti ya Busia. Hivyo basi mtazamaji, ungana nasi hadi tamati. Wasiliana nasi kwenye mitandao ya kijamii kwenye Twitter @KBC Channel 1 @Nancy Okware. Mimi naitwa Nancy Okware. Na basi moja kwa moja tukianza, karibu sana Bwana Odinga kwenye studio zetu.
Asante sana Nancy.
Naam, na ningependa tu tuanzie hapo kwamba mabadiliko wakati ambapo tunaingia katika kipindi cha uchaguzi, ya kwamba kaunti mbalimbali zinatarajia yale mabadiliko katika uongozi, na kuna miradi ambayo pengine ilikuwa imeanzishwa. Hebu tuzungumze kuhusiana na hii changamoto, uongozi unaoingia na kuendeleza zile sera ambazo zilikuwepo.
Sisi tunawania uongozi, mimi pamoja na Daktari Paul Otuoma tunaomba kura za wananchi ili tuchukue uongozi wa Busia. Na ukiangalia tangu ugatuzi uanze mwezi wa 2013 imekuwa miaka 9 sasa. In fact zaidi ya miaka 9, na ni muda mzuri kwa wananchi, kwa wakazi wa Busia kuangalia na kuchunguza na kujiuliza kwamba huu ugatuzi umetufaa kwa namna gani, na tunataka kwenda mbele utufae kwa namna gani. Na ukijiuliza swali hilo, itabidi sasa uanze kuuliza progress ile imekuwekwa katika kaunti imeanzia wapi ikafikia wapi, na kuanzia hapa tulipo tutakwenda mbele kwa njia gani. Na Dr. Otuoma na mimi tumesema kwamba sisi kaunti ya Busia tutaichukua pahali itakuwa, Mungu akipenda tuchukue uongozi, tutaitoa pahali ipo sasa hivi na tutaipeleka mbele. Kwa hivyo kama kuna miradi ambayo ilianzishwa na serikali hii iliyopo sasa, na ni miradi ya wananchi na miradi ambayo inaimarisha maisha ya wananchi, lazima tuikamilishe. Kama kuna miradi ambayo ilikwama kwa sababu ya ukosefu wa fedha, kwa sababu ya utendakazi ya ubovu na kadhalika, ni kabisa sisi tuingie na utendakazi mwema, tuzingatie kwamba kila kitu ambacho kaunti ya Busia na kaunti zote inafaa kufanya ni kuimarisha maisha ya wananchi. Kumbuka kwamba ugatuzi ulipobuniwa, mojawapo ya matarajio ilikuwa kwamba wananchi katika mashinani pale waweze kufanya uamuzi wao kulingana na mahitaji yao, na maendeleo iweze kufanyika kwa njia ya haraka. Manake center ya hizo hela ambazo zinatolewa na county national government kwenda devolved fund ziko karibu na wananchi. Uwezo wa kufanya uamuzi uko karibu na wao. Viongozi ambao wamechaguliwa kama governor, MCA wako karibu na wao. Kwa hivyo pace ya maendeleo inafaa kushika kasi mno kukiwa na ugatuzi. Na katika kaunti yetu ya Busia tuna changamoto kadhaa. Na maoni ya wananchi wengi zaidi wa Busia ni kwamba ugatuzi huu unafaa kuwa umetusaidia zaidi ya vile ambavyo imetusaidia kufika sasa. Lakini wanavyosema wahenga, uongozi ni muhimu sana katika maisha ya wananchi. Kuwa na uongozi bora, maisha yatakuwa bora. Kuwa na uongozi duni, maisha yatakuwa duni.
Hivyo basi hizo tu ni baadhi ya zile changamoto ambazo viongozi ambao wanapania kuchukua nafasi mbalimbali watakuwa wanakumbana nazo. Na ningependa kidogo tuzungumze kuhusiana na changamoto hasa zinazokumba kaunti ya Busia. Maanake tunafahamu ya kwamba Busia ni mojawapo ya kaunti ambazo zinaunganisha Kenya na mpaka wa Uganda, na basi inazingatiwa kwamba kuna ile biashara ambayo inaendelea pale. Wananchi wamekuwa wakipata ajira kutokana na hiyo biashara kutoka nchi ya Kenya na Uganda. Tuzungumze tu kuhusiana na changamoto iliyopo, na hisi ya kwamba mpaka huo bado unatumika kwa njia ambayo ilikuwa inastahili, ama bado kuna zile changamoto ambazo zinastahili kuangaziwa kwa sana.
Mpaka wa Kenya na Uganda ukikwenda Busia kuna ziwa la Victoria ambayo inatupa nafasi ya kufanya biashara na Uganda. Kuna pia port ya Busia ambayo inawezesha Kenya kupitisha bidhaa kwenda Uganda, DRC, Central African Republic, South Sudan, Burundi, Rwanda. Kwa hivyo nafasi ni tele. Malaba ndio port nambari 2 katika Kenya kwa ukubwa, kwa kiasi ambacho cha bidhaa ambazo zinapelekwa na kuletwa Kenya. Malaba ni nambari 2. Sasa kama ni nambari 2 katika maendeleo ya ports zote katika Kenya, inafaa pia kuwa nambari 2. Na pia jamii ambayo inaishi hapo, ambayo ni jamii ambayo inawezesha shughuli za hapo kuendelea kwa amani, kwa njia ambayo inawafurahisha wale wafanyabiashara wa mbali, jamii ya hapo inafaa kufaidika na hiyo biashara iliyoko hapo. Sasa mojawapo mambo ambayo yamefanyika katika miaka 6-7 imepita ni kuanzishwa kwa jambo ambalo linaitwa one stop border point. Ikawa kwamba bidhaa zote zinazoingia Kenya zikienda hizi nchi kupitia Malaba na Busia, kuna kitu inaitwa one stop border point. Inamaanisha kwamba sasa ile clearing yote ya hizo bidhaa inafanyika kule Mombasa. So na before hapo kulikuwa na vijana wetu wengi sana ambao wanafanya kazi ya clearing katika Malaba, katika Busia, wanatafuta riziki yao hapo, na pia wakiwa hapo wakitafuta riziki yao, ile inaitwa knock-on effect ya hiyo biashara inakuwa pia inaingia kwa jamii ya hapo, na hiyo nafasi ikapotea kwa vijana wetu wa Malaba na vijana wa Busia. Sasa lazima na sisi tufikirie ni vipi hao vijana na wale wengine watapata nafasi ya kufaidika katika hiyo biashara ambayo iko hapo. Manake kawaida katika katiba ya Kenya, mfano ile mafuta ilipatikana Turkana, kaunti ya Turkana, serikali ya kaunti ya Turkana ikajadiliana na serikali kuu, wakakubaliana kwamba asilimia fulani ya pesa ambazo zinapatikana katika hiyo mafuta inaingia kwa jamii ya Turkana. Na sisi tunafaa sasa kujiuliza, mbona na sisi ambao tuko katika boda, ambao tunawezesha hii biashara kuendelea kwa njia ya amani, kwa njia ambazo wale wageni ambao wanakuja kufanya biashara wanaweza kuendelea na biashara zao na kufaidika na hizo biashara, mbona hiyo jamii ya hapo isiweze kufaidika kwa njia kubwa ambayo itawezesha pia kuona matunda ya biashara ambayo inaendelea kutoka hapo? So hayo ni maswali ambayo tunajiuliza kwa sasa, na Mungu akipenda tukiingia serikalini lazima tupiganie kwamba jamii ya Busia iweze kufaidika na hiyo boda. Pili, saa hizi tunavyozungumza kuna vijana wetu wengi sana ambao wameshikwa na serikali ya Uganda. Vijana wetu wavuvi katika Port Victoria, Sio Port na hizo port zingine ndogo ndogo, wanavurugwa mara kwa mara na askari wa Uganda. Wanahangaishwa sana na maaskari wa Uganda. Wale ambao mara kwa mara wavuvi wa Uganda wanaingia upande wa Kenya, na wavuvi wa Kenya wakifanya uvuvi wao katika upande wa Kenya wanahangaishwa na askari wa Uganda. Kwa hivyo lazima hapo pia tuangalie, kwa sababu si vema vijana wetu ambao ni wavuvi wanatafuta riziki yao katika ziwa ya Victoria wanahangaishwa kila mara, na sisi tunazidi tunasema tu kwamba wanahangaishwa. We must take action.
Pengine mapendekezo ni yepi ambayo yanaweza kutumika kuhakikisha hayo yote yanatatuliwa? Pendekezo
ni kwamba serikali ya Kenya kila mara, kwa sababu boda inajulikana pahali iko, mpaka wa Kenya na Uganda katika ziwa inajulikana uko wapi. Sasa polisi wa Kenya, wakati wale polisi wa Uganda wanashika wavuvi wetu, wako wapi? Mbona tusijadiliane tukasema, sikiza bwana, upande wetu mtuachie sisi, upande wenu tunawaachia ninyi. Kama kuna yeyote ambaye amevuka mpaka, lazima kuna ile evidence. Watu wapelekwe kotini, washtakiwe, waambiwe walivuka na kuna evidence kuonesha kwamba walivuka. Lakini muhimu zaidi ni serikali ya Kenya na serikali ya Uganda kujadiliana kuwasaidia hawa wavuvi. Hata wale wavuvi wa Uganda bado ni watu wetu tu. Maanake wakivua samaki saa zingine wanatuuzia sisi katika Kenya. Inapitia hivyo, inaenda Entebbe, inapitia hiyo njia, na kuja kupitia Busia ama Malaba. Kwa hivyo kuna ule undugu ambao tunafaa kudumisha. Sio kwamba sasa hapa ni kwetu, nyinyi msivuke. Hatutaki uhasama, hatutaki vijana wetu wahangaishwe, na pia sisi hatungependa wale wahangaishwe. So ni jambo ambalo katika ile diplomatic circles serikali ya Kenya inafaa kuingilia kati.
Kwa ushirikiano na serikali za kaunti ambazo angalau ziko pale katika maeneo ya boda.
Kabisa.
Na tuzungumze tu kidogo kuhusiana na masuala mengine. Inazingatiwa kwamba humu nchini serikali imekuwa ikianzisha ili swala la huduma ya afya kwa wote chini ya mpango wa UHC. Na tunaelewa kwamba katika kaunti ya Busia baadhi ya changamoto ni masuala ya afya. Pengine suluhu ni ipi, tukizingatia kuna umuhimu wa afya ya kimsingi ile inajulikana kama primary health care?
Nafurahi sana umeuliza swali hilo Nancy, kwa sababu tumesema mambo ya uchumi na itikadi ambazo zinawezesha wananchi kupata riziki yao kila siku. Kuna uhusiano ambao ni wa karibu sana kati ya afya na uchumi, kwa sababu wale wananchi ambao wako na afya na nguvu na wana azma ya kutafuta riziki, wakiwa na afya nzuri watajizatiti wapate riziki yao. Kukiwa kuna magonjwa mengi ambao yanasumbua wananchi, kuna kitu inaitwa downtime, na unaweza kufanya hesabu ukajua downtime ya familia fulani, ya watu fulani, ni masaa mangapi, ni siku ngapi, ni wiki ngapi katika mwaka mmoja. Downtime, magonjwa madogo madogo ambayo yanaweza kuzuiwa kama malaria, kama typhoid, kama madogo madogo tu ambayo yanaweza kuzuiwa, kutumia kwamba iwe rahisi kwa mwananchi wa kawaida kwenda katika dispensary ama health center ama hospitali iliyoko karibu, na apate matibabu kwa haraka, apate matibabu ya sawa, aje aendelee na kazi yake, apone haraka, aje aendelee na kazi yake. Lakini yale ambayo tunaona katika kaunti yetu ni kwamba mwananchi wa kawaida akienda kutafuta matibabu katika health center, dispensary, hospitali, kwanza naambiwa nenda kanunue gloves. Wafanyikazi wa afya hawatoshi. Kwa hivyo mtu atangoja, atapanga laini, labda siku moja, ambiwa rudi siku ya pili. Downtime inaongezeka, vifo vinaongezeka ambazo zingeweza kuzuiwa, maumivu yanaongezeka kwa wananchi. In fact, imefika pahali ambapo sasa ile imani ya wananchi wa Busia imepotea katika huduma za afya. Manake sasa kila mmoja akiwa na maumivu anataka kwenda private hospital, kwa sababu hizi hospitali za serikali zimepoteza imani ya wananchi. Wananchi wakienda huko, basi afadhali kwenda private hospital, manake utaambiwa ununue gloves, utaambiwa ununue nini, utaambiwa ununue madawa, ununue reagent, basi kwenda private tu, ukanunue huko, ulipe, utibiwe mara moja, uende nyumbani, you reduce the downtime ambayo ni lakini huduma za afya ni za muhimu na muhimu sana. Ukitaka kuimarisha uchumi, afya ni mojawapo wa mambo ambayo lazima ufanye kwa sawa.
Uwekezaji, unahisi ya kwamba humu nchini katika sekta ya afya pengine umewekwa mahali kusikostahili? Maanake tunapoona kuna wale madaktari ambao wamekuwa wakipokea mafunzo kutoka katika nchi za nje. Unahisi ya kwamba huduma ya kimsingi bado uwekezaji haujatosha unapoangalia tu katika kaunti na ukilinganisha na kote nchini?
Mimi upande wa uwekezaji, ukiangalia upande wa sekta ya serikali, nikiangalia katika Busia, facilities za kuhudumia wananchi kiafya zipo. Mara nyingi zipo, zinafikika. Mwananchi wa kawaida anaweza kwenda akafika. Shida ni kwamba utafika na usipate matibabu, utafika na usiangaliwe, utafika na usipimwe, utafika na usipate dawa, utafika na usipate ile huduma. Zipo, ile tunaita brick and mortar. Majengo yapo, lakini huduma haipo. Manake sasa unakwenda pale, wafanyikazi wamekufa moyo kwa sababu ya vile sekta ya afya inaendeshwa. Wamekufa moyo, hawako na ile azma ya kufanya kazi. Manake hata wao wenyewe ile equipment na madawa na chemicals ambazo wanaitisha hawapewi. Kwa hivyo wewe ukiwa professional ambao uko na azma ya kufanya kazi na usipewe vifaa vya kufanya kazi, utakufa moyo. Na maoni yangu ni kwamba bila hawa kuangaliwa na wako na training, kazi wanaweza, lakini ile uwezo wanafaa kupewa ya kufanya kazi hawajapewa. Sasa serikali ya kaunti inafaa kuwapa uwezo wa kufanya kazi, wapewe equipment, wapewe madawa, wapewe ile environment ya kufanya kazi ambayo inaweza na wao kuwapa motisha ya kufanya kazi. Kwa hivyo Dr. Otuoma na mimi tunasema tukiingia serikalini, sekta moja ya muhimu zaidi ambayo lazima iimarike ni sekta ya afya. Tunajua umuhimu wake, tunajua contribution yake katika economy ya Busia na kote, na tunajua kwamba bila afya kuwa nyororo na kunyoroka sawasawa, bila watu kupata matibabu ya sawa, na bila sisi kurudisha imani ya watu katika facilities za kiserikali, tutakuwa tunawaumiza wananchi wetu.
Unahisi ya kwamba sasa hivi kama taifa tunapoelekea katika kipindi cha uchaguzi tunatarajia mabadiliko katika uongozi katika viwango mbalimbali, kuanzia pale chini mwakilishi wadi hadi upande wa rais, na ugatuzi ulipozinduliwa ni kwamba umuhimu ilikuwa ni kuhakikisha wananchi wanapata huduma pale mashinani, lakini bado miaka kadhaa baadaye kuna zile changamoto. Unahisi viongozi waliokuwepo pengine hawakuelewa ugatuzi vyema, ama tatizo hasa ni lini? Manake zile changamoto zilizokuwepo bado zinapatikana katika kaunti mbalimbali.
Ile muhimu ambayo katiba mpya ilitupatia, mojawapo ni ile tunaita public participation, kwamba wananchi wawezeshwe kuwa na usemi katika mipango ya kaunti kila mwaka wa kifedha. Wananchi wawe na usemi, wananchi wenyewe waweze kusema hapa ndipo sisi tunataka kupata maendeleo. Hili ndilo jambo ambalo linatukera sisi. Hapa ndio tunataka utujengee kitu fulani. Hii ndio program tunahitaji hapa. Kama ni kilimo, nataka mmea gani? Nataka usaidizi gani? Nataka extension service ziwe vipi? Nataka kilimo cha aina gani? Ama tunahitaji market ya bidhaa gani? Manake county, kwa sababu ya ule wepesi wa kufanya kazi ambayo inaletwa na ugatuzi, kwa sababu serikali ya kitaifa ni moja, ile inatembea kama ndovu, ni mzito. Lakini badala ya kuwa na ndovu tunaweka swara sasa, kupeleka swara 47 ziwafanyie wananchi kazi. Kwa hivyo katika miaka 5 ama miaka 9 ile tumekuwa nayo ya ugatuzi sahi, inafaa kuwa tumeimarisha uzalishaji wa kilimo. Manake katika kaunti ya Busia kilimo ni muhimu sana. Watu wengi, hata wale ambao wameajiriwa wanapata mshahara, bado ni wakulima wengi wao. Analisha familia yake kupitia kwa kilimo, na hii riziki nyingine anavyopata anafanyia mambo yake mengine. Kwa hivyo kilimo ni muhimu sana sana sana. Ukitaka kuimarisha kaunti ya Busia, number 1 ni kilimo. Na ukitaka kujenga foundation ya kilimo, lazima uwapatie wananchi maji. Maji ndio msingi wa kilimo, kwa sababu tunataka kwenda katika modern farming. Bila maji huwezi. Na tukitegemea maji ya mvua ambayo sasa tena siku hizi huwezi jua huja mara isije, huja wakati huu, isije wakati huo, huja wakati mwingine, unapata wananchi wanatatizika sana. So tukiwapa wananchi maji yawe karibu, wafanye irrigation farming, waweze kuimarisha kilimo yao, ya muhimu zaidi. Kwa sababu tunaweza sema mambo mengi, lakini la muhimu zaidi ni kuimarisha uzalishaji. Kama tunazalisha tani 500, tuzalishe tani 1000. Kama tunazalisha tani 200 ya njugu, tuzalishe tani 400, 700. Hapo ndio sasa tutapimwa kwamba hawa waliofanya kazi katika kaunti wameimarisha maisha ya wananchi. Kwa sababu katika hizo tani za uzalishaji, watu wanapata pesa, watu wanapata chakula, uchumi unaimarika, afya inaimarika. Kama kuna chakula, afya ni sawa. Kama kuna pesa, maisha ni sawa. So kilimo ni nambari 1, lakini kuambatana na kilimo lazima tuwape wananchi maji ya kutosha.
Na vile vile kuna hili swala la miundo msingi, manake unapata ya kwamba kuna wakulima ambao wanafanya kilimo, lakini ile safari ya kuondoa ile mimea ama mazao yao kuyapeleka katika viwanda inakuwa ni changamoto.
Kuna mazao ambayo wakulima wanaweza toa na tunawezesha kwenda soko. Miundo msingi, barabara, stima, preservation. Kama umevuna mmea fulani ambao unahitaji fridge iweko, stima iweko, na watu waweze kuwa na mahali. Sio lazima kila mmoja awe na fridge kwake, lakini tunaweza kutengeza pahali ambapo community fulani inaweza leta mambo ikawa refrigerated, cold house. Tunaweka hiyo mimea hapo, wenye kuinunua wanakuja wakainunua wakaipeleka sokoni. Soko zipo. Kenya inahitaji chakula, tuna import chakula, tunatoa mayai nchi zingine, tunatoa machungwa nchi za nje. Mbona tulete machungwa katika Kenya na tuna ability ya kulima machungwa ya kutosha? Mbona tutoe mayai huko na tuna wananchi ambao wana azma ya kufanya kilimo hicho? Lazima tuwaunge mkono wakulima wetu na tuwawezeshe. Miundo msingi ulivyotaja, barabara ndio ifike sokoni, stima ndio kama kuna preservation iweze kufanyiwa preservation, na ile tu infrastructure ya kuhakikisha kwamba kila mmoja ambaye ana bidhaa anaweza kuifikisha mahali ambapo sasa tunaweza kuziunganisha pamoja tuzipeleke soko. Na pia cooperatives inasaidia. SACCOs, cooperatives, wakulima waje pamoja. Nguvu ya cooperatives tunaiona kwa mfano Githunguri Cooperative, Dairy Cooperative, ambayo inawawezesha wakulima maelfu ya wakulima kuimarika, inawapatia loans, wakulima wanakuja pamoja, they can negotiate, wanaweza kunegotiate bei ya maziwa. Kwa sababu ya ile tunasema umoja ni nguvu. Tuwalete wakulima pamoja, na pia katika kuwaleta pamoja wanafundishana, experience ya huyu ni ya hii na ya huyu. Tukileta pamoja, kila mmoja anaimarika, kila mmoja anafaidika. So siasa ile ambayo imekuweko Busia ni siasa duni, siasa ya kupigana tu, siasa ya matusi, siasa ile tunaita mediocrity, ile ambayo inadunisha mawazo ya wananchi. Tunataka siasa ambayo tuwe tunapiga siasa kusema hii ndio inatuimarisha zaidi. Mimi niko na idea nzuri ambayo itatupeleka mbele. Mimi naona hivi ndio vile tutaimarika katika. That's what we want. Na katika kuhakikisha kwamba wananchi wanafaidika, maono yao ni muhimu sana. Wazungu wanasema
manake ni hao ndio walio na matatizo.
Exactly. Matatizo ni yao, wanayaelewa, hata yalipoanza wanajua vile ambavyo tunaweza kuwasaidia. Tunajua sasa tukileta expertise kama kwa kilimo kwa mfano, tunachukua shida ya wakulima, tunaielewa vizuri, alafu tunaleta agricultural expert. Kitu kama kupima soil testing ni jambo ambalo si jambo gumu. Tunapima soil, tunafanya soil testing na kuambia wakulima, hapa ukipanda pamba itafanya vyema zaidi. Hapa ukipanda machungwa itafanya vyema zaidi. Hapa fanya hivi, panda mmea huu, panda mmea. Hiyo ni kitu tunaweza kufanya katika miaka 5. Tumefanya soil testing katika kaunti ya Busia, na kila mkulima anajua nikitaka kufaidika, mmea mzuri wa kupanda hapa ni huu. Kwangu mimi naona jambo kama hilo is long overdue. Ingekuwa imefanywa, lakini sisi tunasema hiyo, tukiingia serikalini, hiyo ndio namna moja ambayo tunaweza kuwasaidia wakulima. Unawapatia ujuzi, unawapatia knowledge, ili wakifanya uamuzi wao, mmea ambao wanapanda, wakuna knowledge from the experts. So tunawaleta pamoja, wale ambao wanaelewa kilimo, wamesomea kilimo, na wakulima wenye wanaelewa shida zao. We bring the problem and the solution together. Yeah.
Manake kumekuwa na haya maswali si katika kaunti tu, katika taifa lote. Wengi wanasema ya kwamba vijana hawana ajira, na wengine kwa upande huu wanasema ya kwamba vijana wakumbatie kilimo, wakumbatie biashara. Lakini cha msingi ni kwamba wapate ile elimu na kuwezeshwa, ndiposa wafahamu wanachostahili kufanya.
Kabisa. Kilimo lazima ikuwe ni kilimo ya kisasa. Manake ukiangalia kaunti yetu na kaunti karibu zote, shamba zinapungua. Manake kuna watu wengi, idadi ya watu imeongezeka, kila mmoja ana shamba ndogo kuliko vile mababu zetu walikuwa nazo kubwa, shamba kubwa. Kwa hivyo saa hizi tuseme kama vijana wakianza kilimo, waweke greenhouses, tuwapatie maji, waweze kufanya irrigation farming, waweze kufanya rotation. Na hiyo soil testing tena inakuja hapo. Naambia panda hii mwaka huu ama msimu huu, baada ya hiyo ukishavuna msimu ule mwingine panda mmea huu, na kuwe na soko. Kuwe na soko. Kuna wakati hapo nyuma Busia ilikuwa na ginaries 4 zilikuwa zinafanya kazi. Tulikuwa tunazalisha pamba sana, kabla sasa pamba ikadunishwa na zile synthetics ambazo zilikuja. Bei ya pamba tena duniani imepanda. Wakulima wetu wanaweza kufaidika ile ambayo tunahitaji, kwa sababu wakulima walikufa moyo. Tunataka tena tuanze kuwaelimisha wakulima wetu, na pia tuwapatie seeds. Initially seeds ndo hizi, na tuwafundishe vile ambavyo wanaweza kupanda hiyo pamba, na sio tu kupanda pamba, lakini kuhakikisha kwamba wanafaidika vilivyo na hiyo pamba ambayo hiyo ni mfano tu na kutolea mfano wa pamba. Na ukiweka pamba, wakulima walime pamba na uweke ginnery hapo karibu, hapo kutakuwa na ajira, hapo kutakuwa na soko ya pamba, hapo kutakuwa na watu ambao wale ambao hata si wakulima lakini wanafaidika na hiyo kilimo, kwa sababu kuna wale transporters ambao watatoa pamba shambani kuleta katika factory, kuna wale wataajiriwa katika factory, kuna wamama ama wanaume ambao watapika chakula ya watu kula hapo wakija hapo. So uchumi unaimarika tu hivyo hivyo, na inaanzisha na jambo moja, kilimo. Tuboreshe kilimo, tuongeze uzalishaji katika kilimo.
Naam, tunapoelekea kutamatisha, ningependa kidogo tuzungumze kuhusiana na kinyang'anyiro cha ugavana katika kaunti ya Busia, na ni kwamba ni kinyang'anyiro ambacho tunashuhudia kitakuwa na ushindani mkali na hususan yule kiongozi ambaye atapata ule ushindi. Kuna hii changamoto ya kuunganisha wananchi, manake wakati wa kisiasa unaona kuna upande huu, pengine yule niliyekuwa nikimpigia debe hakuibuka mshindi. Kile ni kibarua ambacho wanasiasa katika kaunti mbalimbali wanakumbana nacho.
Hiyo ni kazi ya kupendeza. Kwa sababu gani? Kwa sababu hata katika Biblia Mungu alisema waleteni watu wangu pamoja. Katika Biblia kuna verse ambayo inasema come let us reason together. Kaunti ya Busia, Daktari Paul Otuoma na mimi tunawaambia come let us reason together. Kaunti ni yetu sote pamoja, sisi ni ndugu. Hizi jamii ziko Busia zimeishi pamoja miaka mingi sana, na hakuja kuwa na uhasama siku zile. Wanasiasa wakitaka kushinda kiti wanakuja wanasema, unajua yule alisema nyinyi ni wabaya, yule aliwatukana, yule aliwafanya hivi. Lakini yale tunasema sasa, watu wa Busia wataunganishwa na viongozi ambao wameamini kwamba kuwaunganisha wananchi ndio kuwapeleka mbele. Number 2, kila mtu aliyeko Busia lazima tuhakikishe amepata huduma katika kaunti ya Busia. Kila mmoja akipata huduma ambayo ni haki yake, atasikia kwamba mimi nimepata haki yangu, sina uoga, sina uhasama, sina chuki. Kwa hivyo shida itatoka wapi? Pili, kuna mambo ambayo nasikia akisemwa na wafanyikazi wa kaunti kwamba unajua tuna uoga kwamba serikali itakayokuja itakuja kututoa kazi, itatufuta kazi. Hebu niwaeleze hivi. Hawa ni civil servants. Civil servants kuna code of conduct. Hakuna wafanyikazi Kenya hii wanalindwa na sheria kuliko civil servants. Wanalindwa na sheria kali sana. Civil servant kitambo aje kuachishwa kazi amepitia process ndefu ambayo inalindwa na sheria all the steps. Kuna code of conduct ambayo inasema ukifanya mambo fulani utapelekwa katika disciplinary procedure. These are disciplinary procedure. Kumwadhibu mtu kuna procedure imeandikwa chini na kisheria. Halafu pia kuna ile inaitwa grievance procedure. Mtu akiona kwamba amedhulumiwa ama amegandamizwa kwa namna fulani, kuna vile anaweza kuwasilisha malalamishi yake yasikizwe, na kama amesikizwa akionekana kwamba kuna makosa, basi yeye atarudishwa kazi yake. Hakuna mmoja, sio Dr. Otuoma, sio mimi, ambaye ana nia ya kugandamiza yeyote ama kudhulumu yoyote. Ile tunataka ni kunyorosha kazi, kuwe na utendakazi mwema na kuwe na maadili ya kufanya kazi ambayo itawasaidia wakazi.
Naam, shukran sana. Tutatamatishia hapo. Mtazamaji, tumekuwa tukizungumza naye Arthur Odera ambaye ni mbunge wa zamani wa Teso Kaskazini na vilevile ameteuliwa kuwa naibu wa gavana katika kaunti hiyo ya Busia chini yake Paul Otuoma ambaye anawania kiti cha ugavana. Na basi tumeangazia tu mengi kuhusiana na siasa za humu nchini na vilevile siasa za mpakani ama biashara za mipakani, na kufikia hapo mie sina la ziada ila kushukuru sana mtazamaji kwa muda wako. Kumbuka ya kwamba taarifa zaidi utakuwa unazipata mwendo wa saa 7 kwa lugha ya Kimombo ukiletewa naye mwenzangu Nisi Imano. Mie naitwa Nancy Okware, mfasiri kwa upande wa ishara ni Anu Wangeshi. Kwa heri.
The effects of climate change.
Sasa wakati ya kiangazi huwa sisi ni watu zaidi maskini watu wetu.
But what options are there to address this global challenge? Join Ruth Wamboi as she focuses on community-based options to mitigate the effects of climate change. Nipping the Bud, a 3-part feature series starting this Wednesday.
Hello?
Gonzalo, it's Monica.
How dare you call me up right here at my house?
Gonzalo, it's an emergency. He left a note saying that he's leaving. What? You don't seem to think that he has to be found urgently? Gonzalo, for heaven's sake!
Yes, that's her. What did you say, ma'am? I'm sure that was his ex-secretary's voice. I'm very sure.
How is he? Is he alive?
I don't know. He looks like he's not breathing. Hold on, I'm gonna put him down.
I love the way you smile. Ooh la la la. It's in rehab, and baby your body's easy. Your body's easy, yeah. It's like I checked in rehab. 'Cause you only need the light when it's burning low. Only hate the road when you're missing home.
Just make a wish. You never want the things, baby. Give me that good loving.
Julia, I might not have the best, but I have the brains. Plus, I am a wife material compared to you nonsense.
Atito, you have already forgotten how Farah here helped you with the same problem just the other day.